It's just us. We're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives, we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight to heal the wounds, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life matters is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hi, good evening, social change warriors. Good evening, justice seekers. I'm Catherine Felton Page, your host of Social Change Warriors and the founder and director of our movement. We are a movement to call out crime and corruption in police and government. And we also stand for victims of major crimes, whether that be domestic violence, homicide, unaliving, can't say the M word on YouTube, but that's what it is. It's the M word. And we also stand for survivors of any crime that needs our advocacy or needs our help getting justice for whatever that particular crime is. Wednesdays, and welcome back on Wednesday. Tonight is our, what we call the Angry Bitch Club, our Angry Bees. And we are here on Wednesdays to primarily stand for women empowerment. And we will cover just about any case that has to do with women. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. Hang on a second. I got to turn off the video. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I got a video primed back in the backstage and it decided to start playing. So anyway, Wednesdays is our night for women empowerment, and we will cover cases that have to do with women. We'll cover a case that has to do with a man, and we're empowering the victim's wife or girlfriend or fiance or mother or family member. So we're focusing primarily Wednesdays on women victims, but we will focus on a male victim to empower the family member who is a female. So that's what we're doing on Wednesdays with our Angry Bitch Club. Thursdays is our Calling Out Corruption Night, where we are uncovering corruption and crime around our country. We have been following Ellen Greenberg's horrible death in 2011. That was, she was literally framed for her own death. And that's what we believe. That's our opinion based on the evidence and everything that's been covered and everything we've seen in that case. But we are going to continue to follow that. We've been following Sandra Birchmore, who was also framed for her own unaliving, and Suzanne Morphew. There has been no justice for Suzanne. We believe there's some issues going on there as well. So any case that has criminality, corruption, anything that we think is involved, we will cover on Thursday nights. And please let us know if there's anything going on in your communities that you would like us to look into. We're happy to do it. So that's primarily Thursdays. And then we just started Friday night episodes called Friday Night Lies, where we are looking at the Karen Reed trial witnesses. And we're asking 3 questions of everybody who comes along with us for the ride on Friday nights. Did the witness lie? did the witness tell the truth, or was the witness evasive, or was there a combination of all three or two of those? So we've been doing that on Friday nights. We're looking into following the witness testimony of Brian and Nicole Albert this Friday, which is Valentine's Day. It'll be a 9 o'clock start because it actually is my birthday. So I'm going to do a little fun stuff on Friday, but I did want to still have a Friday Night Lies. I want to keep up with it so we can get through everybody before the next trial. And I thought, why not? They're the happily married romantic couple of Brian and Nicole Albert. So let's cover them on Valentine's Day on my birthday. By 9 at night, I'll be ready to just settle down with whoever shows up. And we're going to, as we've been doing on Fridays, going over every little word they say, every little blink, every little sigh, every little drink of water, because we're talking a lot about symptoms and signs of lying and fatigue and stress. So we will look forward to that this Friday. Hopefully you'll join us. But tonight, we are happy to have Kara Veach back with us. Her husband, Jason, was killed 2023 of October in what was a verbal altercation. Started out as verbal, was verbal, and then it turned into much more, and he lost his life at this particular bar in Volusia County, Florida, which is not too far from where I live. So Kara and I have met in person. We have attended meetings together at the sheriff's office. We are working on the case pretty much at least every other day together, if not every day some days. So I'm going to bring her up to the stage and reintroduce you all to Kara and welcome her back. Hi, Kara.
Hey, hello.
Good to see you again.
As always, great to see you. I feel like we haven't talked in forever.
I know you've been busy, and I was busy too, working on Where is Sarah Ebersol, the case that you're familiar with, which is also not too far from us over in Marion County. There were some interesting changes and updates. We have not found her, but that's been going on too. So yeah, you and I haven't gotten to see each other in a while, but you have to meet the new therapy puppy in person.
I do. He's so cute.
He is. He's a good little buddy. So let's bring a picture of your dear Jason up with us to the stage for right now. So everyone, in case you haven't joined us prior, we do have in our library, if you go to Social Change Warriors YouTube channel, you will go to the live button, and under the live button are all of our videos that we've done and our live streams. And we've been with Kara many times. So if you want to get caught up on every little detail that we've covered so far, we'll give you a brief overview. And we're also going to be going over the police report tonight. It took Kara forever to get the unredacted police report, even though they closed her husband's case. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about the frustration with that. And we feel honored and proud that we've been able to work on this with Kara, and that hopefully doing the live streams and all the phone calls and emails that I participated in with Volusia County kind of helped them to finally get that information to her. If that's that's what we do here. That's what we're here to do, is help the families get resolution, maybe put a little bit of fire under people because now there's someone else involved outside the family. We're just trying to advocate and help the family get through this tragedy and get some form of justice for their loved one. So go ahead and remind us, Kara, what exactly happened that you were not getting that unredacted police report?
It was just it was going to take forever. It's going to take forever. They said it would be months. I mean, their new excuse, I guess, and I'm sure it takes a while, like for the videos or the pictures or anything like that, is it's going to take weeks and probably months for me to get that we have right now. I requested it the day we had our meeting in October of 24. They said they would get it released to me. It never happened. I did it in December. They charged me for it. It was taking forever. No excuses. They just didn't send it.
And then miraculously, after I started calling them and emailing them, and we lived at least 3 times, Kara was all excited, sent me a text. Guess what I got today? So same thing happened with Michelle, with Sarah Ebersol, who is missing out of Ocala area, Marion County, not getting any push for her new flyer. They had not updated a flyer for Sarah in over a year. And some of the old flyer had misinformation on it. So again, I called there almost every day for a while. I've left numerous messages. No one ever calls me. I have to give it to Volusia County. They called me back. They were willing to talk to me as an advocate for the family. They allowed me to come to a meeting with Kara. Marion County is complete crickets. Nothing. They have zero, obviously, respect for any advocate that wants to help Michelle with her fight to find her sister, who has been missing for 2 years. So that's another. Michelle will be on with me tomorrow night with updates. There are some updates. Unfortunately, we have not found Sarah or her body. Sadly, I hate saying that. When people are missing, I so want to find them alive and just having a mental health crisis and not being able to go home because of that. And we have found people alive. There's cases where people are found alive quite frequently, but I'm not feeling good about this one because of the domestic violence that was involved. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow night. So hi, everybody who's here live with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your support so much. And thank you for any comments or questions you have for Kara or for me tonight in the live stream. Replay, thank you. You've been wonderful. We've had over 300-400 on the replays talking about Jason's life and what happened with his tragic death in October of 2023. So for those of you that are new, I'll have a chance when Kara is talking to go and highlight anything you put in the chat. I will highlight up on the screen for you so that replay can see it. If for any reason you don't want your text highlighted, your chat highlighted, just type that to me right now, because some people just want to remain incognito. Some people are with us and they're not chatting in the chat box, which is fine too. But any of you subscribers, social change warriors, new to our channel, feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to I'll put it up unless you tell me not to. So I wanted to make sure I've never really said that before. So I wanted to make sure and say that. So everything we talk about tonight is our opinion based on a very healthy stack of police reports that Kara finally got, that her and I have gone over, Kara far more than me with a fine-tooth comb, looking for anything that didn't add up or make sense. And then we've also listened to some of the audio that we've been able to have, but she's still waiting for the actual 911 call, right? We don't have that yet.
Correct. Yeah. Just the that are still also have parts that are redacted. So
right. And I'm going to read a little of that tonight for our viewers and our supporters, your supporters and mine, for the channel. So when I get a chance, when Kara's telling us something, updating us, I'm going to go through and just make sure I put up that you're all welcome here. If you ever have questions for me, I'll put up my email towards the end of our time together tonight. And Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are our live shows, unless I say otherwise. Sometimes we might have a guest where we might have to switch to a Tuesday, or maybe we'll do a Saturday or a Sunday. I typically don't do the weekends, but some of our guests work full-time jobs and they can't always come at night. So we will always let you know when we're not going to be on a Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday. So let me just recap for you, and I'm going to have Kara help me a little bit with it. So Jason was out partying, for lack of a better way to put it. That's what most of us tend to use if we're partiers and we go out and party. Partying usually involves alcohol and maybe other things you like to smoke, cigars or cigarettes, who knows. But he was out that day having some drinks, bar hopping, for lack of a better way to put it as well, going to different bars. And he drank too much. So he was getting pretty intoxicated by the end of by around 4, maybe 3:30, Kara, basically is when he started to really get intoxicated.
That would be my guess on that one, on the time. Yeah.
So he went to a bar that was near his final destination. And at that bar, the owner of the bar, the manager, I'm not sure if he was owner or manager, he had received a noise complaint. And we have talked about this. And if you want to go back and listen to the actual body cam of the officer, that's all in our, go check out our library, and you'll find all of the lives that we've done with Kara. And we've played that on several different episodes because there was something important that happened there. There was a noise complaint by a gentleman that lives next door to this bar that is over off of Highway 44, not too far from where the Cabbage Patch is. And Jason was there, just happened to be there in the parking lot, and they got a noise complaint about their music. It was very coincidental from the gentleman who lived next door to the bar. So the officer arrived, she dealt with the noise complaint, talked to the owner. He said, yeah, we'll turn it down or we'll shut the door. And she was going to leave. And he said, hey, before you leave, there's a guy over there on the motorcycle. He shouldn't be driving. You need to go and deal with it, or whatever his words were, right? And again, you can listen to this if you want to go in our library. We may play it again at some point too on one of our other lives. So she walks over and introduces, tells who she is. She's very friendly, very kind to him. Notices that he has a scrape on, what is that bag called on the side of the motorcycle, Kara?
They're bags. It's
just like a travel bag, right? Yeah, your saddle bag, right? Yeah. So she notices that it's scuffed up. So she basically says, hey, buddy, did you lay your bike down? Are you feeling okay? Are you okay to drive? I see you scraped up your saddle bag. And he says, oh, no, that's from a long time ago. You can tell he's intoxicated. It's a no-brainer, right, Kara? And so, she says something to the effect of, I don't think you should be driving tonight. Maybe you should call somebody, like come and get you, and call somebody to ride your bike. He doesn't like that. He scoffs at that. I don't want anybody driving, riding my bike, my motorcycle. And so they have this little interaction. She's quite polite. She basically says, hey, I just don't want you to get stopped for OWI, and then you're going to have a ticket and there's going to be money involved. And she's basically talking about how much it's going to cost him and such like that. And then in my opinion, she has two choices here. This is where officers get to use what's called discretion, right? You don't always have to arrest somebody. I mean, there's times when you don't have a choice based on the crime, but in this case, you don't have to. What she could have done is said, I'm not leaving here until somebody comes to pick you up and your bike is properly taken off this gentleman's property. Then I'll leave and I won't issue you a citation. I won't arrest you. If you don't do that, then I will be forced to arrest you because I've already told you I smell alcohol on your breath. I've already told you I think you're impaired and that you shouldn't be driving, but you're insisting on driving anyway. The fact that he had the key in the ignition, the lights were on, that in just, I don't even know of a state that doesn't then constitute you are going to get arrested if you don't comply. Now, not all officers have to use that. She could have arrested him already. He was on a motorcycle with the lights on, key in the ignition, OWI right then and there. Then he's off the streets. He can't harm himself. He can't harm someone else. He's going to have to pay the big ticket, end of story. But a lot of officers will use their discretion. If somebody's cooperating, they're willing to get out of their car, shut it off, lock it up, and get a ride in a cab or have someone pick them up. I've done that. I did that. So that is something that is within the law. It's called officer discretion. And your supervisors, your captains or lieutenants, they allow you to do that. In this case, he wasn't going to do that. So she then had the choice to wait and maybe try to phone someone for him, like call Kara, or if he wanted to give out a friend's name, but he was being stubborn. So then her only choice was arrest, because you can't walk away at that point. You can't do it because you are now liable for whatever happens to him. And what happened to him was not a motor vehicle accident, but what happened to him is he was so intoxicated that he went on to the Cabbage Patch and got in a verbal altercation with some of the patrons at the Cabbage Patch, some other motorcycle enthusiasts, because it was Oktoberfest, which in Volusia County, Florida, is a time for motorcyclists from all over the Florida and all over the country to come and celebrate being a motorcycle enthusiast. And there's activities, there's races. This happens every October in Volusia County. Right. So in such a way, because she didn't use her discretion, she did cause in some way what happened to him. And now other people can say that's not true. And she wasn't disciplined. So her supervisors obviously felt that wasn't true. But what if he had left and got in an accident? What if he had caused an accident that either he died or someone else died? Then would her discretion have been into play because of the OWI? So it's a very difficult topic, very frustrating, because had she done one of the two that I felt were her choices for discretion, then what happened would not have happened. It's like everything we do, every decision we make has an action, something comes of it, right? There's a reaction, there's an action, there's a consequence. So that was the consequence of her letting Jason just go when she had only two choices to make, in my opinion. Letting him go was not a choice, zero choice there, right? People, most of us can agree to that. So then he goes on to the Cabbage Patch and he's very intoxicated, and he's already was there earlier and was told not to come back by the bartender. She told him she wasn't going to serve him anymore. So then he got a little mouthy, and I guess he was pounding on the bar and being the big man on campus and was talking smack about politics apparently. And apparently he was talking about he was a Trump favored Trump. Again, politics don't matter here. It has nothing to do with it. But that's what was going on. He was mouthing off about politics, which, you know, is never a good idea to do in a crowded bar with a bunch of drunk people, or not all people are drunk in bars, but most of them have some alcohol on board, right? You don't want to bring up politics, religion, you know, stay away from that when you're in a bar. But he was drunk, so he didn't stay away from that. And unfortunately, several other men, they got in this verbal altercation and they were yelling and shouting at each other. Now, at that point, I want to read some of this. Is that pretty accurate of what you know happened, Kara?
Yeah, that's to my understanding. The way the detective made it out, actually, the detective made it out that nobody was acknowledging him at all. He made it out like Jason was just being loud, disrespectful. He was mad at the bartender because she wouldn't serve him, and he was to anybody who would speak to him, but nobody was acknowledging him. That's okay. From the now,
so he was just kind of ranting and raving about not being served, and he was being crabby, and maybe he made some political talks. We don't know exactly what was said. We just know that he went down that road at some point. Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying all that. So let me say hi to everybody that came tonight. I appreciate you so much. Let me go back up so I know who's with us tonight. So hello, Miss Sunshine. Thank you so much for coming. Again, we appreciate your support and welcome. Yes, Whitney Northey. I love that. Ellen was certainly not self-inflicted. Absolutely not. And I'll go over that again tomorrow night. I've done several live streams on Ellen, and I've actually, fortunately for me, I was in touch with Joel from Surviving the Survivor today, and I'm hopeful that he and I will be doing a live stream together. And I'm very thrilled about that because he is awesome. I just respect him so much. He's so good at what he does for true crime and for families. And I'm hoping that he will listen in on both of our Florida cases. He lives in Florida somewhere. I'm not going to dox him. I think he always talks about where he lives, but I'm not going to. But he lives in the state of Florida. So he and I are probably a ways away, but I want to talk to him about both the Florida cases that I'm happy to work on right now with the families and advocate for, both missing Sarah Ebersol and Jason. So that is going to be really important to me, and I'm hoping that you'll all join us. I'll find out when I speak to him, or he's very busy. So we're thrilled that he's even willing to give us some time because his schedule is just always booked. He's a very busy person. So that was good news today. So, and again, he's been following Ellen Greenberg, Whitney, the whole way for quite a long time. And also has Gavin Fish, who I've also reached out to, but haven't heard back from yet. He has a wealth of information on his website on anything to do with Ellen. So, but I'll be doing a brief update on her tomorrow night. And we'll also be joined by Michelle, brief update about Sarah Ebersol. So, Whitney says, I haven't heard of this case and I'm originally from Volusia County. Awesome. My friend sent me this link on TikTok. I'm eager to live facts. Hey, this is great. I'm so glad to have you and welcome. And any of our other cases that we're following, sorry, the allergies have been kind of getting to me today here. We're in our little February pollen drop where all this little green, if you've been in Volusia County, Whitney, you know, on our cars and all over our tables and our picnic tables and our chairs, it's crazy. And it makes me have a catch in my throat. So Paula, welcome back. Great to see you. Thank you so much for your support of our channel and of all of our victims' families, of Kara. Yes, the Cabbage Patch is right on the outside of New Smyrna Beach. So if you go out 44 west on 44, the Cabbage Patch is just off of 44 on what road? Do you remember what road that is?
It's on County Road 415, Tomoka Farms Road.
That's right, Tomoka Farms. I've driven by it so many times because it was my shortcut when I lived in New Smyrna Beach and I wanted to go through the country and not go up the 95 or up the 1. I would go that way sometimes. So I've been past that bar so many times, but I've never been there because I don't ride a motorcycle, and it looks to me like it's some place that's really primarily focused and centered on motorcycle riders and their passion. So I didn't feel like I was going to fit in there. Right. The officer certainly started a domino effect. Oh yes, definitely.
And like I said, with the officers, the two involved that were there with Jason, they are also one of them is the responding officer and that had to try to save his life. And the other one was backup that could have just, solved problems had they just, in my opinion, done their job.
Right. Exactly. There was just a lot of Well, we'll kind of recap it for you because I've been reading the police reports. Kara gave them to me like the last time I saw her. We were able to actually go out to eat together and do something non-stressful. So we decided not to read the police report. We went to one of our favorite, it was one of my favorite places in Daytona Beach. I didn't know it was her and her friend's favorite place.
Mine
and
and
I
Jason.
surprised them. And then they said, oh, we know the bartenders there. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. So we got to do some relaxation and self-care without reading the police reports. But I've read them all now since I've had them for the last week because there was a lot to read. So Paula says not to talk politics. Okay, so Jason was affiliated with the Republican Party, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Right. So I guess whatever he was speaking of, who knows? Maybe, when you're drunk, you might have said something like, well, if so-and-so was here, or if my congressman was here, he would let me do this. You don't know. It probably was something innocent that he was saying about politics. It probably wasn't anything even terrible or, my idea is that I am the only Democrat in Volusia County. So I think everybody in the bar would have agreed with whatever he said, but yeah. I'm joking. I'm not, but I have no problem mentioning the word politics on any of my live streams. I just want y'all to know that I've been cautioned not to do that by people, but I don't believe in that. There's nothing wrong with us having different views, nothing wrong with us voting. This is America. Kara and I didn't vote for the same person, but we don't care. We're friends. I'm advocating for her. This is about murder. This is about solving, sorry, YouTube. This is about solving homicides and solving the M word. This is not about, we are bipartisan at Social Change Warriors. The only time I might not be bipartisan is if I decide to live on a Tuesday night and I want to tell you my opinion about something, but I'm always willing to debate with you and you are willing to come regardless of who you vote for, because I've always been open-minded that way. And I don't believe in this division. I think it's horrible. So we can mention the word politics. It's not a dirty word. We need policy. We need advocacy. We need social reform and laws to protect us. That's all about what politics is. The rest of it is basically noise, right? And just garbage that happens in politics. It really is. So it doesn't matter if he was a Democrat or a Republican. He could have been an independent or Green Party. The bottom line is he lost his life in a bar and he shouldn't have. He should be alive today to be with Kara. And that's what we stand for, are getting justice for our victims and their families. And it doesn't matter who the corruption is. Like, for instance, in Indiana, all of the corruption surrounding that sheriff, you guys have met Ed Byers if you've been to any of my other lives, that was all Republican-based corruption. With Ellen Greenberg in Pennsylvania, that's a lot of Democratic-based corruption. But don't for a minute think that they're not intertwined, that there's Republicans, Democrats, independents involved in the corruption together. Because when they're corrupt, they don't care either. They don't care who each other votes for. They want to make money. They want to be powerful. They'll be corrupt and you won't know it. They'll be working together under the scenes. That's why there's so much division in public, but yet most of these politicians don't have that division. They meet after work in the bars in Washington, D.C. They hang out, they laugh, they joke. This is what happens. And then families stop talking to each other over this. But yet the politicians never stop talking to each other. They're always friendly for the most part. People don't realize that. I've had friends that have worked in Washington and have witnessed it. So you have to get along, people. You have to be nice to your neighbors, regardless of who you vote for. You have to talk it out and debate and agree to disagree. That's really all you can ever do, right? So, like I said, we've got corruption with Democrat. We believe in politics, in governorship with the Ellen Greenberg case. In Indiana, it was with Republicans in power, and it doesn't matter. If it's corruption, it's corruption. It does not matter who they vote for or what political party they're in. So where did we leave off? Because I wanted to make sure I covered. So let me read a little bit of the 911 call, because we're going to let you listen to it as soon as we ever get it, which, by the way, I'm going to call and remind them tomorrow that we don't have it yet, Kara, because there's no reason why we don't have it yet, because they charged Kara over $1,100 for police reports and body camera and the 911. I believe they were charging it at $30 an hour for their staff to make copies of this for her. I've never heard of this in my entire years in law enforcement and following my friends' careers after I retired and cases that I followed. I've requested police reports for cases that I followed. I've never heard of such a ridiculous charge like this. So I am going to look into this for you. We just haven't had time, because right now it's kind of the least of her worries. We're trying to get justice for Jason and get charges happening at some point against those that held him down. So we're going to go over everything that happened in the case now. So if you have any questions, I want to make sure I said hi to everybody that's with us tonight. Shauna. Hi, Shauna. Thanks for joining us. Oh, you're good. You're on the big screen tonight. Thank you so much. Oh, and I have something exciting to tell you. It has to do with our friend, Agent Sean, and you're going to be very happy about it. So I will tell you about it as soon as I get done living. I had a nice chat with Agent Sean today, and whether you approve or disapprove of what happened between Agent Sean and Aiden, I don't care. I can like Aiden for his journalism, and I can still like Agent Sean for everything he's contributed. And if that makes you mad at me and you want to unfollow me, I'm sorry. I'm staying bipartisan where those two are concerned, because I have respect for both of them in different ways, because Sean has become a friend of mine. Aiden is someone I know because he's online and we've had a couple chats, but we're not friends. But I have nothing against him. I could be friends with him, but I don't believe I'm in his orbit. So I will speak about anybody in the Karen Reed, Free Karen Reed, John O'Keefe movement, because I have followed that case way before I started live streaming. So I literally know probably almost as much about it as anybody else that's followed the case, with the exception of those of you from Massachusetts who are in it to win it. And you've been standing out and standing up for John O'Keefe, for freeing Karen Reed, who's been wrongfully accused. And we'll chat a little bit about that at the end, because I do have Kara now into this. So she not been following it.
So into it. I can't.
She can't. So she's going to give you all her opinion at the end. We're going to talk a little bit. There was a lot going on for Free Karen Reed this week. A lot more than we could have ever expected at this stage. So I've also been following the Idaho 4. That is a tragedy of epic proportions. Anytime, anyone's killed is a tragedy. This with 4 at one time was just really horrible. But we've had other tragedies. The New Orleans with, I think we lost, what was it, 18? And then, there's been so many other school shootings going on in the last few years. It's just tragic what's happening. But when this one is, kind of coming to head now, because I guess the trial will be going forward. But I've done some research on that case, and I've been following some people who live stream about it. And I'm going to do a couple episodes in March, because there's some new information out now, and I'm starting to feel very much on the fence. And I know that will be a very unpopular opinion, but I'm starting to feel on the fence about what was the actual motive and who actually did unalive those 4 young people. So I will let you know my opinion on that at some point down the road. Sooner than later, since it's already almost halfway through the month. DB, welcome back. I hope your shoulder's feeling better. The story breaks my heart that, yes, the officer should have either taken his key. Yes, DB, it breaks my heart too. And for Kara, because she did affect what happened to him. Rather, like I said, if he'd gotten in a car accident and killed someone, and then they found out she didn't use her discretion properly, she might have been fired. But because he went on his merry way and left and went to another bar and something bad happened to him, they're saying she's not responsible. That's what Volusia County told us right to our faces when we were in a meeting with them a couple weeks ago. I hope your shoulder's feeling better, DB. I know it was sore there for a while. I'm with you on that. Whitney says, they charged you for what should be you deserve regarding. Yes, absolutely. I don't understand anyway. I think a spouse of a deceased person, that should be on the house. Now, me asking for a police report, go ahead and charge me, or maybe another family member. But my goodness gracious, I mean, this is the wife of a deceased person, or if it was the husband of a deceased female. Why are we charging family for a police report? You know why, right? Because people only ask for police reports when things aren't right. And so that's why they're charging you. This is not rocket science. If they had charged, but you still might have wanted to read the police report yourself. So even if they did charge someone and Kara was getting justice for Jason, we still shouldn't charge families for police reports. And I don't know, maybe that's something we can go to our congressmen and senators about, that there should be some kind of bill about not charging the family of murder victims. Sorry, YouTube, M word again. You're going to have to fix that, because that is a word in the dictionary, and it means something. When someone is unalived, who says we have unalived? I mean, people tell me that is not the stupidest thing you've ever heard. And you all know I'm more of a Democrat than I am anything. I don't believe in the words this is silly. Words are in the dictionary for a reason. We use them for a reason. Why? What is unaliving? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's just ridiculous. So sometimes YouTube, I'm still going to say the M word. I'm sorry.
On the charges of the reports, out of my sister also requested the reports, and they charged her only $638, I think is what it was. So they actually charged her almost half less than what they charged me for it.
Well, okay. Well, when we decide to tackle that, you're going to have to give me a list of what you were sent and what she was sent. And then we're going to have to compare, because I'm glad they didn't. I just can't believe that they're double charging a family like that. I mean, unbelievable to me. So yeah, we need to look into that. And I may have to do some type of writing to our Volusia County representatives and see if we can make any noise about that, because it's just outrageous. Ms. Sunshine, the difficulty in this case is there is a police department and bars trying to protect their business and liquor licenses and don't want to be under scrutiny. Well said, Ms. Sunshine. Karen and I have talked about that they don't want the attention to that particular establishment. Well, they're getting it, right? They're going to get it regardless. And we're very close to taking this to the media as well. I just wanted to make sure we had all of the police reports, all of the body cam footage, everything, because I had to connect. I met someone not too long ago who works for a channel in Orlando that has covered Sarah Ebersol. And I'm really wanting to take Kara's case to them to see if they'll do a story about it. But we got to have all our ducks in a row first and listen. We want to listen to the 911 call, even though I'm going to read some of it to you here in about 2 seconds. Paula says, I was born and raised in Massachusetts. Oh, great, Paula. So boy, and where were you from originally? Is that Whitney was the one originally from Volusia, and you don't live in Massachusetts anymore, Paula, right? I think you've told me that before. So yeah, you have a tie to that case. Yeah, the Idaho has had me locked into the screen. Yeah, I know. It's just, that would probably take me 3 hours to go over all of the things that have happened that make no sense to me. Since the beginning, I didn't like it. I didn't like him for it, to be honest with you. I really didn't. I know they've got what they say is a lot of evidence, but I don't think they do compared to what I think we don't know, which we do know because a lot of it's starting to leak out slowly but surely. And I've watched a couple of live streamers who have dug into this, like investigative reporters, and the things that they have showed me about the drug cartel in Idaho literally had my jaw drop to the floor. It makes you sick to your stomach to know what's going on when you find these things out about other states that you didn't know. And then the fact that if it's in that state, what other states is it in and how big is it? It's not in every state because they can't get away with operating in every state. Some states are too small. They wouldn't be able to hide in plain view like they can in Idaho, apparently, and possibly even in Washington. But I'll let you know about the live streamer. Some of you may have already been watching him, but I'll give him a plug next time when I actually talk about this. But it's a very bizarre case, and there's so much wrong with it and so many questions that need to still be answered that I hope will get answered as we go forward, because we do want justice for these 4 innocent college students.
Yes.
And I'm tired of hearing the fraternity brothers being blamed too. That's another conspiracy theory out there. There's no way, guys. First of all, they would never cover up for fraternity. If fraternity brothers fight got out of control and they were having a fight and then they brought it to the house and unalived all 4 of them in such a manner, nobody's covering up for that. This level of corruption, again, that I think we're seeing in Idaho is Massachusetts level. It's Indiana level. There's no way that happened. So all of you, I apologize to you that think that the fraternity brothers did this because you don't think Brian did, but no, there's no way. There's no way they're covering up for frat boys who got out of hand and brought a fight over to that house, because that's just not how it went. If that is how it goes, I'll be totally stunned. I don't buy it for even 2 seconds.
Me either. They're children. Kids are not that good. Sorry.
No, it's too orchestrated. It was premeditated. There's no way that it happened like that. I'm still shocked that they're even live streaming about it, that they're having followers and people buying into that whole frat boy thing. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Sorry, no disrespect, but some things are ridiculous that happen in social media and online. So DB says, I've been taking a break. Oh, I appreciate it. I understand. I took kind of a social media break, except for posting about Ellen and Sarah and Jason and I've been trying to not read too much going on there. So they are charging this amount because they think she doesn't have the money. Oh, yeah. I never thought of that, DB. They think you can't afford it.
Well, I paid it.
Yep. And I decided to open a cash app for Social Change Warriors because Michelle has also incurred costs that are ridiculous for things she's doing and doesn't have a lot of support. She has some support, but she's running through it because she'll tell you about it tomorrow night, other things she's been doing. So I did start a cash app for Social Change Warriors. I have to find a volunteer accountant because I want to be completely removed from it. I don't want to have any issues. I want to use the money only for administrative costs, which would just be to pay StreamYard, to pay YouTube, and to make any flyers that I make over here in my area to put up for Sarah or Kara or Sarah, to look for Sarah, and then give a percentage to Michelle and a percentage to Sarah. But I am not an accountant. I was a cop. I was a social worker. I was a journalist, not an accountant. So I need a volunteer accountant before I'm ready to do too much. But I will put it up tonight if anybody does want to make a small contribution as a thank you to what we're doing here at Social Change Warriors. I will share that and we can at least see if it works. So $1, it's a village, right? So I was talking to Agent Sean today about that, how he only charges 99 cents for his, I guess it's a closed room discussions that he has with people. If 2,000 people donated 99 cents, do the math, right? So it's all about a village and trying to help families get justice for them. I don't ever want to be paid for this. I'm retired. I don't want that headache. I want to do this out of the goodness of my heart. That's how it's always been for me. But I was encouraged by many of you to at least do something where I can give back to the victims' families and or cover at least my program costs. So this isn't costing me money to do these live streams and to do all the work that I'm doing. So I will try it and see how it goes. If it gets to be out of control for me and I can't find a volunteer accountant, then I may not do it anymore. We'll see how it goes. But I guess I've been on here now since the end of July. So we need to step it up a level and we can try it. I'm happy to try it. So great. Thank you for all your comments, Miss Sunshine. The police are desperately trying to shut Kara down. Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt. I was born and raised in Southie. Oh, wow. Left at 40 years old. Oh, Southie. Okay. Is that where JFK and James Jackson are from? Southie? Is that right? I know we met James Jackson a couple of weeks ago when he came on the show with us to talk about John O'Keefe. That's great. You guys are both from, near the same area. So DB says, Kara, have you held a protest outside the police department? We've talked about it, but we haven't yet.
Yeah, it's hard to do so at this point in time. There's nothing, like they even said, their exact words to us at our meeting was there's nothing else they can do and that we need to take it up with the state attorney. So go protest out there to do what?
Well, maybe we protest outside the state attorney's office then.
Hey, listen, I'm waiting to get all of our ducks in a row and
Yeah, we will. We've discussed it. It's a possibility for sure. And there's enough people that we could hopefully get rallied up in Volusia County to do a decent standout. And all of you that have done this in Massachusetts for John O'Keefe and for Free Karen Reed, it's really inspirational. And but again, Kara has been waiting all this time just to get the unredacted police report, which she just received a couple weeks ago and still hasn't gotten the body cam and the actual
correct
911.
The recorded witness reports, because from what the detective also just told us last week, these are all just summarized, and he said these are actually just doesn't make sense, different than the recorded ones. I don't understand why you would write a different summarized report if you have a different recorded. So in reality, we're still stuck. I don't think people realize that we went without knowing what actually happened to Jason for months. They lied to us for months about what happened to him, even after they found out. They told us that he was sick and dying of cancer for months until we got the death certificate ourselves. So, that's not been a lot to do. And that's probably my fault for not pushing from day one and having faith in the justice system.
No, you don't fault yourself for anything. You've done everything that you've had the power to do. And it's, again, they were counting on you, like what DB said and several other of our guests tonight. They were counting on you not to have the money. Same thing has happened with, with,
Michelle.
to my opinion, what seems to be the lack of urgency to find Sarah Ebersol, because they're counting, Michelle doesn't have money for big time lawyers and to go after the Justice Department. So now Sarah's been missing almost 2 years. And I was having a debate with someone that's involved in the case about how many missing people there are in Florida. Well, every one of those families does not care about that statistic. They're just cared about their one missing person that they're trying to find and bring home, whether it be passed away by foul play or by their own hand or by some type of an overdose and they were never found, or by a homicide on the hands of someone else. So I like to use statistics because it helps us understand the scope of the problem. That's why social workers and police officers and advocates do like to show you statistics, because you do need to know the scope of the problem. It helps to get us charged up and say, hey, when something's got a scope this big, when is enough, right? So, yeah. Exactly. So thank you, everybody, for all your comments. Miss Sunshine, they are trying to cause Kara to give up and walk away. Yeah, which is exactly what in a lot of cases they planned on Karen Reed doing, right? They expected her to just take a plea, not fight the system. This is too big for me. I'm being framed. How am I ever going to get past this with other police officers involved? That's what they counted on, that she wouldn't do it, that she would just take a plea. They sadly, that happens way more than we realize and even know. Kara, everyone sends lots of prayers out for my mother-in-law. Oh, she is on with us from Ohio. She has some pretty major surgeries coming up, and dang it, she's been through enough. Oh, absolutely. Everybody, please send prayers up for
Sandy.
Sandy, right? Your mother-in-law?
Yep.
Yeah, and she's been on with us before, and welcome. We're so happy to have you again, and we're going to keep standing for your son with Kara until this goes as far as we can take it. Absolutely. And we will always have him in what I'm kind of referring to now as my wall of my memory wall, because some of our cases sadly may not be resolved. I don't know we don't know yet what's going to happen with Ellen Greenberg. We don't know what's going to happen with Suzanne Morphew. Her case is almost going cold. We know hopefully that something's going to happen with Sandra Birchmore. And once the case is solved, we will always keep that person of that case that we advocated for or family that we stood for will always remain in our memory, on our memory wall. And we'll always continue to put up their faces for the rest of my life. And whoever takes over Social Change Warriors when I go, we will continue that. So it's just not fair that people don't get to continue to live their life because someone else decided that they wanted to take them from this earth. That's not their decision. That's not their place. And they need to pay for that. They need to go to prison for that. So we're going to keep fighting for Jason and for Kara and Kara's kids. Kara, stay strong and keep fighting. Thank you, DB. Oh yes. That's where my great aunt and uncle live. I've been there many times. In fact, I'm hoping maybe this spring I'll make it up that way, because I would like to meet some of you in person that I've gotten to know so well. We'll see how my knee recovery continues to go, but I would love to. And thank you, DB. Prayers for your mother-in-law. And oh, great. Yeah, I've moved up to New Hampshire. What a beautiful place. My friend Ellen lived up there for many years. And yes, thank you so much, my dear, from your Shady Valley Kennels. Love you too, Kara. That's wonderful. And thank you so much for, yes, I'm excited to hear the recorded statements too. So let me just dive into it. We're all caught up. Thank you, everybody who's here tonight. Thank you for your comments and your questions. It's really helpful. DB's in New Hampshire now. Oh, wow. Look at that. We have all kinds of interesting serendipity going on here with our social change warriors and our justice seekers. This is great. All right. Let me read a little bit, because we are hoping to get this soon. And we're going to call tomorrow and say, where is it? Bill's been paid. Deliver the goods. Right. So this is at 1942, which military time for the police would be, I haven't had to do military time in a while, but I believe 542.
742.
I'm sorry, 742. Yeah. Oh, that's right. 19 is 7 o'clock at night. So 7:42 p.m. Eastern time. So this is location is Cabbage Patch, New Smyrna Beach, right outside of New Smyrna Beach, as we just talked about. And it's classified at this point as a disturbance. So the call comes in as a disturbance, and incident type, again, disturbance. Is this physical or verbal? Verbal. Any weapons involved? No, at this point. What is occurring? Customer causing dispute. Is this in progress? Yes. And how many subjects are involved? And then that is redacted. So when Kara and I went in to meet with the captain lieutenant, we asked about a lot of things that were unanswered for her at that point. And I'll let her kind of remind all of you what that was. But we were curious once this came. Kara emailed, I'm going to let you tell them about this. Let me read a little bit more. And then I do want you to tell the audience about this foolishness that has gone on, in my opinion, with this still being redacted when the case is closed. So disturbance with employee customer, huge redaction. I'm going to show you. Huge redaction. Okay. I don't understand that at all. And we'll tell you. So I don't get to see any of that. We don't know what that is. Then we've got, is this domestic related? No. Are all parties still on scene? Yes. Are all parties separated? No. Are there any injuries? No. And then she wants to know the subject. So race, white, male, height, 6'5", 300, dark hair, black hat, black shirt, jeans. That would be Jason. And then redaction, an entire line is redacted. And then comment, will call back if anything changes. Says she would throw him out herself, but he is too big. People don't do that anymore. That doesn't happen. The only time people are thrown out of bars is if there's a security, and they're big, beefy guys that work security in most bars that have problems, that tend to have these type of issues going on. A bartender who's there working alone on a busy day during Bike Oktoberfest. First of all, why did that even happen? That's a problem to me. You've got a female bartender working alone in a biker bar. No disrespect to bikers, but unfortunately, there are times when there are incidents with bikers when they drink too much in the biker bars, and there are problems. There are police calls. The statistics show this. Okay, I'm not dissing on bikers. Kara's a biker. Many bikers don't ever cause a problem. They're totally law abiding, but you've got ones that are not law abiding, or alcohol gets involved and you have a disturbance.
Tanner. Yeah. And you have to take into consideration what was transpiring. And if people know the location, there's actually a massive trailer park directly across the street where everybody goes and parks their toy haulers for the event. So it's not like it might have not had it. There was at least 20 people there at 7:30 on a Sunday night, but it was full. The campground was getting full. So there should have been no reason to not have security on any day of the week.
Right. Ever. Exactly. So it just doesn't make sense. And especially to have one bartender on in a busy Oktoberfest and nothing, I'm for women empowerment, of course, but I've never been for female bartenders working alone in bars. It's just not safe. I mean, most of the time you're not going to have a 6'5", 300-pound female bartender who could deal with somebody that became unruly or became violent. So it's just not safe. It's not about women's lib or anything like that. It's just about safety at bars. I still don't necessarily feel that women should be closing convenience stores alone at night in this day and age with all the crime that goes on. I think there should be two. Even men shouldn't close alone at night. There should be two on duty at a lot of these places, because it's just dangerous that we're living in a dangerous society nowadays. It's just how it is. So let me read a little bit more of this, and then I'll check the comments. And then I'm going to have you refresh everybody about the meeting that you and I went to with the captain lieutenant, and then what was said to you afterwards by the records department when you did get this still somewhat redacted police report. So what happens next is that we go back to, she's talking about, so we're up to calling back in saying someone came in. Okay, so I want to wait on that. So we're going to wait. We're up to the part where it's going to get dicey, and I have a couple other things to share with you. So Kara, you go ahead and tell everybody about the gist of that meeting, and then the gist of what happened when you got this redacted police report.
You want me to talk about the meeting that we went to?
Yeah, let's refresh everybody's memory, because a few people in here haven't joined us yet, and I'm sure they'll hopefully go back and watch on the replay our other episodes that we've done with you. But let's let them know about that meeting.
Yeah, we went to a meeting with a captain and a lieutenant over investigations, just to get simple questions answered. When we had set up the meeting, they had told us that they knew the case well. That's everybody's answer, is that they know this case very well, which it was not true. They did not know the case well. They just knew of the case. And we had asked why Hatchet Man was allowed to carry a hatchet inside. And he said that in Florida and in bars, he's allowed. They're allowed to carry them in depending on the place. And the Cabbage Patch they didn't say the Cabbage Patch allowed it. They just said that he was in fact allowed to carry that weapon into the bar, which again is very contradicting with the reports that we have. What else did we ask? I forget now. We asked a lot. I left.
There, you had a question about two witnesses that had more information, correct. And you asked him, did you ever follow up with them? And he said that he didn't know about that. He didn't think the detective had followed up.
Correct. They knew nothing about these two witnesses. We had asked why the detective never followed up with two people that had came to my house to tell me that Michael Beery was talking to them and gave them descriptions of how he had choked Jason down, because Jason was so big that he had to put him in this chokehold to get him to stay down. And it was already told to me that Jason fought to get up. He was actually doing push-ups with all of these men on his back trying to stand up, and they would not let him. And the captain and the lieutenant said that the detective never mentioned it, and they did not, but that they would personally follow up with them and get back to me. Of course, that has not happened at all.
Exactly.
They've not gotten back to me on that. I did email the captain again and asked him about it and about the redactions again, and he said that he would look into it and to send him the report so that he knew exactly what I was speaking of, and I still have not heard back from him from all of that.
Yep. So that's that, and that catches you guys up to there. Then we have another update that I'm going to share with you here in a minute that has to do with when she got the police reports and their redactions, and then we'll let you know exactly what happened between this one gentleman and Jason and then what followed. But first, I want to point out to you that they actually, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it first. Before I was going to share my screen, but let's wait on that a minute. Let me cancel that. Let me go back now and read to you the rest of this 911 report. And then we'll talk a little bit about what Kara's call about the redactions and what the records department, the runaround with the records department. So what happened next is that the bartender called back. So it says calling back in, saying, and it's in all caps, calling back in, saying someone came in with an axe. Then she says they are holding the big guy down on the ground.
Yep.
6 guys holding him down.
Correct.
Unknowing where the axe is or who had it, but does not see it now. Miscellaneous. It says she cannot stay on the phone as she is the only one there. Told her I needed to keep her on the phone. She says it is under control right now because 6, and the number is 6. 6 guys are holding him down. No longer LL. Not sure what LL stands for. I'm going to circle that so we can figure that out.
Yep.
Let me find my highlighter here. Okay, let's figure that out. Maybe someone in the chat who's dealt with this knows what that is. So then it says aware in all caps, and then it says med 1 agency emergency, scene is not secure, scene secure for rescue, subject not breathing. So let us tell you what happened. So while they were in this little bit of this verbal altercation or whatever was going on with this gentleman, and as Kara put it, we she didn't know his identity for a while. So she was calling him Hatchet Man because he brought in a hatchet. You can call it an axe if you want, but in this case, we believe it was more of a hatchet because I think axes and hatchets are a little different, right? I don't know that much about them, but I know that they have those crazy bars now where they have axe throwing. I don't know the difference, to be honest with you personally, between an hatchet and an axe, but we were calling him Hatchet Man because she didn't know his name or who he was. So what happens is that they're yelling. Jason's sitting at the bar. They're yelling at each other. This guy, obviously, whatever Jason had to say, he must have decided to spout off to, and they're in this verbal altercation that, remember, the guy just down the bar didn't think was any big deal. Oh, it's just another day at this biker bar where people are yelling at each other and maybe possibly we're going to have a bar fight. He kept watching the football game. He was interviewed, and I'll read it to you here in a little bit, that it was not that big of a deal. So whatever their shouting was or whatever they were yelling at each other. So at some particular moment during this yelling, shouting match that Jason was having with this other older gentleman who we think was in his 70s, possibly late 60s, he leaves. So he leaves, goes outside. Now, if he's so afraid of Jason, like he professed in his interview with the Volusia County Sheriff's Department, why didn't he leave? Why didn't he just leave? If you're so afraid of someone and you don't want to be in a bar fight, and you don't want to get in trouble because you've been drinking, why wouldn't you just leave? You have a car there. But instead of leaving, this guy, brainiac that he was, gets the hatchet that he carries in his car for whatever reason, who knows, and brings it into the bar. Witness reports say that he had it over his head, that he put it in a fashion of a wielding motion and aimed it at Jason and missed his head by very little and struck the side of the bar. So if Jason's in a bar stool on the end of the bar, the hatchet struck the bar. There is still a mark in the bar. I am planning to go over there and take a picture of it. So we have that for when we do the protest or whatever we're going to do next with the state attorney. I'm going over there to take a picture of it. And it's actually going to be bike week soon. So I better do that before it gets too crazy over there. So that supposedly that mark is still on the bar where the hatchet landed. There were witnesses that saw the hatchet. There were witnesses that said the hatchet was put behind the bar. If someone's that afraid of someone, why are they coming back in a bar with a hatchet? Now, riddle me this, people. If this man, let's say they had charged him and they were already assuming, because the police were the ones that mentioned it, that he was going to use the stand your ground law, that he felt so scared and threatened by Jason that he was going to stand his ground and whatever he did was okay because it wasn't going to be a step over what Jason was doing. All right, help me out here. Jason has no weapon. He's yelling. There were no fist throwing. There was no punching going on. No weapon, no punching. So what is the equal to that is verbal, correct? Going out to get a hatchet, coming back into a bar is a step above. That is no longer stand your ground law whatsoever. It doesn't match it. It goes over it. It's not under it. And then he becomes the aggressor. Jason's sitting at a bar stool. He's coming in, wielding the hatchet right over his head. Now Hatchet Man is the aggressor. In any other state in America, apparently, but Florida. And I was basically told when I questioned them about this that day, because I was angry that they had the audacity to tell me it's perfectly okay for him to come in and hold a hatchet up over his head. And then they basically said, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore. You don't live in Wisconsin anymore. Yep. And I was not happy. You can imagine. Those of you that know me know I don't take too kindly to that kind of disrespect. But I had to hold it in because I wasn't going to get them upset because it was Kara's show and not her position to be mad, not mine. I tried to hold it in the best I could. But you've got to be kidding me, right? This man is now in fear of his life. He's walking into a crowded bar with a hatchet over his head and swings it at Jason, but he's in fear of his life. So Jason gets up to take the hatchet away from him. And then these other guys, apparently 6 of them, according to this report right here, took him to the ground and held him there. And they held him there so long that he stopped breathing.
Yes. Remember that I also would like to add in there that I personally asked what would happen if I took a hatchet into that bar and slammed it on the bar, and the detective told me that I would be arrested. 100%, I would be arrested for doing so. I'm not allowed to do that. That's what he told me. If I was to do that, I would go to jail. I doesn't make a lot of sense. Correct.
Nope. But
6
they're
men.
playing because Hatchet Man was afraid of Jason moments earlier because big bad Jason was yelling at him.
Not at him. He was yelling. He was mad at the bartender. That's what it said. Not at them. He was mad at the bar. Correct.
Right. And so DB says, was Hatchet Man one of the 6 who pinned Jason down? No, exactly. So this is where it gets interesting. He left the scene once it was like somebody's, once they had him down, he left the scene.
Correct.
And wasn't even there when the police got there. So, and supposedly no one knew who this guy was. So he became Hatchet Man because no one knew his name. And conveniently, the surveillance cameras weren't working. So nothing outside to get a license plate, nothing inside to get proof that this guy did this, even though their witnesses say that he did and that he had a hatchet, that the hatchet was behind the bar. I'd like to see I'd like to know where that thing is now. Yes, coward, exactly. He knew he was in trouble. So he left the scene. And that in and of itself, and then I said to the officers when we were in the meeting, why wasn't he charged? And then he looked at me like and snarked at me. Well, you were an officer. You know there's not a statute for that. That's only for leaving the scene of an accident, hit and runs. I've said, how is witnesses saying he had a hatchet and he swung it at someone and he left the scene not chargeable? What is going on in Florida, right? I mean, I have lived here 60% of the time since 2009. I was in LA for a year. I've been back and forth to Madison constantly. I'm still here a lot. I've learned a lot about Florida that I don't like, and I continue to not like. There's good things, but these things are not good. They're not safe for people. It's not good practice, not good law enforcement practices whatsoever. While I'm floored. Yeah, exactly. So no charges. He leaves. No one even knows who this guy is at this point. So let's see what the rest of this has to say. So, so not breathing. And then this is the part that's very hard. And I don't like Kara to have to hear this. Rescue still needed, emergency. And then we just go into, basically it's just all them calling, officers. There's just a whole list of officers being called to the scene. So we're caught up on that. Now, let me share something with Kara. She doesn't know that I found this. So let me share something with her that I'm going to share my screen. So while I'm doing the mechanics to share my screen, let them know what happened when we both emailed and called to find out why so much of this police report, and this is just a sample, this is all over what's supposed to be an unredacted. Now, we both understand, Kara understands, and I, of course, understand as former law enforcement, that there will always be something in a police report that has to stay redacted. Social security numbers, addresses, we don't want to ever dox anyone. But these are not that. These have to do with something that went on. And we've scoured it, we've read it, both of us, and they know it too. They know it too, because you could tell by their reaction. So I'm going to pull up what I want to share with everybody about another case in Florida that happened in October that actually contradicts what they told us is chargeable versus not chargeable. So go ahead and tell them about your kind of battle with the records department.
So, right. I call and I request the redactions because, again, I do understand that there's redactions. I am not an idiot. I do understand them. And I do understand 911 caller information being redacted, which is the one that they keep using for Dawn Hill, who was the 911 caller, just so we're all clear. It's not a secret. And if it was supposed to be a secret, Detective Steve Wheeler already violated that because he is the one who came to my house and told me that Dawn Hill was the 911 caller. So he violated that. But anywho, I requested the reason for the redactions, and it's not just little things. It's important redactions, like Michael Beery's statement. He said something to Hatchet Man along the lines of something is redacted. If you get behind the bar, you're going to be fine. That's what he says to him, but they will not unredact that part. So I spoke to records multiple times, and with no reasoning at all, literally is an email that looks just like this. This is it. It's just an email with statutes. No, nothing. Just, not, oh, hey, here's what you requested. Nothing at
Right.
all. Just statutes. So the first one is, again, the 911 caller information. And then the next one that they gave me, I don't know who it goes for or what it applies to, was emergency medical services. Well, that statute fits nothing in this report, nothing at all. And then the third one, I'm assuming, has something to do with Michael Beery, was criminal history information section. Why are we in its restrictions for criminal history of felons? What does it have to do with? So that's where we started. DB can't see me, but it's okay. I can keep talking as long.
Right. We'll have you hold those up again after I just want to share this with you guys quickly because I want you to hold those up again. So
go ahead.
So,
You going or you got it?
Yeah. So let me share with you guys. Let me take these banners down so you can see everything that I am doing here. I got to go find them all first. It takes a second to remove them. Let me take those. Let's see where I got to get that one off. There we go. We can leave the one running. Okay. So here's what happened in October. Again, doesn't matter to me what political party, if it was blue, red, green, blue, or not. Wrong is wrong. So we're not here to diss a political party. We're here to talk about an incident that happened. So let me share with you that this teenager was arrested in October. And his name is Caleb James William, 18, was charged with aggravated assault on a person 65 or older and improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon. This was in Neptune Beach, which is to the south of me and Kara. A Florida teenager has been arrested after he brandished a machete in an aggressive, threatening posture over his head. Remember all this, people, at 2 women Tuesday outside an early voting location. Oh, I'm sorry. Neptune Beach is north of me. That's right. Jacksonville, Neptune Beach. So just an hour north of us, Kara. Caleb James Williams, 18, joined by 7 other juveniles, approached sign waivers and antagonized the opposing political side, according to the Neptune Beach Police Chief, Michael Key Jr. Key did not provide the political affiliations of the victims or the suspect because, again, it doesn't matter when it's all said and done. But the Duval County Democratic Party identified the sign waivers as supporters of former Vice President Kamala Harris, at the time running for president. He is charged with aggravated assault on a person 65 or older and improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon, according to the records from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. He's being held at pretrial detention facility and is scheduled for a hearing Wednesday. CNN is working to identify his attorney. Okay, so this is all from October. So he was among a group of teens who showed up outside the Beaches Branch Library. I actually happen to know where that is because I lived up there for a while back in the day. And this is where early voting was taking place. And I voted at a library myself when I was home in Madison because I'm still a Wisconsin resident. I'm a hybrid. I have joint residency in both states, but I still vote up there. Placed Tuesday afternoon and antagonized the sign waivers. So that's against the law, right? You can't do that at a polling place, regardless of who you're voting for. He began waving a machete in a threatening manner over his head at 2 women, ages 54 and 71. The women called police. The group was there for no other reason but ill intentions and to cause a disturbance, Key said. Ensuring everyone's right to vote is critical and it will not be impeded upon in Neptune Beach or Duval County. As it should be. The group was supporting former President Donald Trump. Well, now he is president, but according to Duval County Democratic Party Chair Danielle Henry, and that was the case. Not that it matters because we have corruption going on both parties all over the country. We are deeply concerned about a violent incident at the Beaches Library where a group of young men carrying Trump flags with one individual armed with a machete confronted peaceful Harris Wall sign waivers exercising their First Amendment rights. The Duval Democratic Party posted on their socials. So this troubling act of intimidation was met with swift response from the Neptune Beach police, who arrived within minutes to assess and de-escalate. So the Republican Party of Duval County thanked police in a statement for arresting the individual. So of course they're not going to support that either because that makes everyone look bad. It was a highly, politically tension election, of course, but not one calling for machetes, right? So again, what was the charge? Let's go back. So aggravated he is charged with aggravated assault on a person 65 or older and improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon. So I was told, and Kara was told in our meeting, that there were no charges for Hatchet Man. Well, that's not true. Correct? If you're charging Machete Boy, why aren't you charging Hatchet Man? How is that any different? Politics aside, has nothing to do with it. How is that any different, right? So let's see here what else I can pull up to show you from that. Let me go. I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen here for a second. Go back and reshare. See what else we can find. Because this is going to be something in the notes for when we go talk to the powers that be, because they always want you to find something that you can say compares, right? Like what happens in court. You know, they look at past criminal cases and let's see here. Where are we now? Okay, let me look at this one. Trying to find the one I want to show you. Okay, so what happened next, I'm going to let you hear this. This is the 911 call. Let me know if you can hear it.
There's a truck full of boys at the library pulling machetes out of their truck. Okay, hold on just a second. They got machetes.
Confidently live your life online.
Let me make sure I don't have it.
Okay,
McAfee helps you monitor the dark web for
playing
your
for you
email
guys?
addresses,
Kara?
credit card numbers,
boys are told
and much more.
machetes out and coming over
If
by
your
us.
info is somewhere
I
it
had it
shouldn't,
playing before,
every
and I
second
don't see
counts.
that I have it.
We'll notify you an average of
blocked
10 months
from us
sooner versus
hearing
similar
it.
services. We provide simple
Yeah,
steps to
it
take
says
action
it should be
before
playing.
it gets
It's
into the
not-
wrong
I got
hands.
this. I don't think the sound
Online protection
was it
made
playing.
easy.
Okay, I'm just not hearing it on my end. Let me back it up again.
There's a truck at the library pulling machetes out
Are
of
you
their
hearing
truck.
it okay?
Okay,
Yes.
hold on just a second. They got machetes. Okay, are they kids or adults? They're adult. They're teenage boys, but they're pulling machetes out and coming over by us. Okay. Now they've got other kinds of tools and stuff. Okay. And hold on one second. But machetes is a big deal.
I concur.
56, 1325. Signal 0 machetes at 600 3rd Street, 600 3rd Street. The it's library. Black pickup full of teenage boys, full of signal 56 boys pulling out machetes. Okay, what's your name, ma'am? Now they're just rampaging through the parking lot. They came through here like 50 miles an hour. Now they're pulling out. They had machetes and stuff. They're in the vehicle now? Well, yeah, some of them are. Some of them have just walked out to the sidewalk with their flags and the other ones are still over by the truck. And where's the truck? Right in the driveway of the library. Units responding for 94. The truck is in the driveway of the library. Some other individuals are out by the signs and in the parking lot. They're blocking the license tag. There's 2 of them that are still blocking the license tag of the truck for me to see it. They're attempting to block the license plate from the complainant. Okay, my officers will be there like in full force in just a minute. I'm going to stay on the phone with you, okay? Beautiful. Thank you.
So what I'm curious about is why wasn't anyone else charged? I'm going to have to look into that now, because all that I ever saw was that the kid with the machete was charged, but they're saying that there were other tools and things they were waving at them. Anything can be a weapon, a hammer, a wrench.
Correct.
I mean, a beer bottle can be a weapon, for goodness sake, right? I mean, not that I'm saying they have that, but who else was charged in this situation? So I'm going to have to look deeper into this than I thought. But here's the disturbing part. All right, let me unshare. Let me share the screen again. So according to this, January 28th, charges dropped against teen accused of threatening. So let me know if this pulls up, because sometimes not everything pulls up for me when we do this, but charges dropped against teen accused of threatening Neptune Beach voters with machete. Let's see if we can get this on. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay, let me try it again. Oh, I see. It's not letting me share that. Let me try it again. Let me stop it. Okay, I might have to reshare a different screen. That's the one I was on prior. So let me stop that one. Everything behind the scenes is a little tricky at times, but I'm getting it. So let's try now and see. Okay, now we should be good. Can you see the election 2024?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
A Florida teen is facing aggravated assault charges after he allegedly wielded a machete to intimidate Democratic voters outside a polling place. 18-year-old Caleb Williams was arrested Tuesday outside a voting precinct in Neptune Beach, which is in the Jacksonville area. Police say the registered Republican was among a group of teens accused of intimidating Democratic voters. The Neptune Beach police chief said the group approached people waving Harris wall signs, and an argument ensued before Harris, quote, brandished a machete in an aggressive, threatening posture over his head.
This goes way beyond expressing freedom of speech. To say your piece is your First Amendment protected right, but that goes out the window the moment you raise a machete over your head in a threatening manner.
Authorities say right now none of the other members of the group is facing charges, as their actions did not, quote, cross the criminal threshold. However, the investigation is ongoing. Stay up to date on all the latest 2024 election news by downloading the Straight Arrow News app.
There we go. I thought that was going to answer my question. So they decided that it wasn't threatening enough. I guess whatever tools they were waving at the ladies wasn't threatening enough, but the machete did it for them. Well, now we've got out of Jacksonville, state attorney drops charges against teen. And this is January 28th. So this is just a mere, couple weeks ago. Let me go and share that with you guys, because this is all stuff that we may need to use when we write whatever we're going to write to the state attorney. Okay, let me see if you guys can see that. Is that showing up?
Yes.
Okay, so it says state attorney drops charges against teen accused of a machete to threaten Kamala Harris supporters at precinct. This is obviously not going to be a popular decision for a lot of people. So months after an 18-year-old was accused of antagonizing Kamala Harris supporters with a machete at Neptune Beach polling precinct, the state attorney's office said it would not be following through on charges against him. Police said Caleb Williams was part of a group of 8 teenagers ages 16 to 18 who pulled up to the beach's library during early voting in late October and confronted the women holding political signs. I'm trying to see if there's any type of an actual video on this one. Nope, that's our 911 call. So there might not be a video on this. I don't see anything. And that's a conversation, unless it's this one. Nope, that looks like something totally different. So it looks like it's just the story. So I am going to have to find out more about this. What it says here is, at the time, the police chief said a Fletcher High student aggressively brandished a machete. Williams was charged with aggravated assault, improper exhibition of a firearm or dangerous weapon, and voter intimidation, which obviously wouldn't be the case for our Hatchet Man, but definitely improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon, right? How is the Volusia County not charging that? I don't get it. But the state attorneys has dropped all the charges. Williams has no criminal history. They said he was with his friends holding tools and loudly supporting their presidential candidate at the polling location, but no voters left the poll due to intimidation. What does that have to do with the tea in China? Act was ill-advised and perhaps zealous. They don't think the actions rise to well, I'm absolutely flabbergasted at this. I didn't know that was the case, because this literally just came out. I had heard that happen, but I didn't know this was the reasoning. I can't even begin to believe this. I mean, that is unreal. I mean, again, it wouldn't matter which side of the aisle it happened on. Nobody should be okay with that. That should never be okay anywhere in America, in our country. But now at least we know that Hatchet Man could absolutely have been charged with wielding a deadly weapon. What do you call waving it over his head, putting it towards Jason? It hits the bar, it leaves a mark. Kara, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because I know I just told you about all this yesterday.
Well, I know that from the sound of the 911 caller's voice, she didn't think it was a joke, and that they were just supporting their Democrat or the Republican Party. That's bullshit. Sorry. The genuine fear in her voice of come and help us because there's people with weapons coming at us. So I don't agree with that at all. I've never agreed with how they have handled Hatchet Man's, part of all of this. It's
my example, Miss Sunshine says, can they say this machete attack is different because it was with intent of impeding the election? Well, that was the voter intimidation charge. The other charge is just wielding a deadly weapon. That should be a charge. What if he walked into a Stop and Shop or up in Massachusetts, or what if he walked into his high school? What would happen then, right? Lockdown, mega police. He would have been arrested and charged. I mean, come on, right? Do they all think we're stupid? I really am starting to think that people in Massachusetts, Indiana, Florida think we're all stupid. It really, really ticks me off, this level of corruption and not wanting to piss off the Republican voters maybe in that area up there, because Jacksonville is pretty darn red, but it shouldn't matter. We're all humans, whether we vote red, blue, green, or blue. We want to support each other. We don't want anyone getting hurt. We don't want anyone getting killed. So I saw it as voter intimidation was a separate charge than wielding a deadly weapon. But trust me, now that we know about this case, we will be calling back to talk to the detective. So Kara, let them know. I decided to reach out about 2 weeks ago. I was feeling very frustrated. Kara still didn't have the copies of any of this 911 call. There were still questions about these witnesses that she told you about that were never contacted, that the captain said he would get back to us on, and we did not hear back. So I just went ahead and called one day and asked to talk to the detective bureau. So I called Volusia County Sheriff. They put me through. They were very polite, unlike Marion County, who doesn't put me through at all. And again, they don't have to put me through. I don't work there. I'm retired. I'm a social worker. I'm no longer a police officer. I'm not a private investigator. Nobody has to put me through anywhere, but it's just kindness when someone calls to say they're a victim advocate and they're trying to help the family, to answer whatever questions you can that you're allowed to answer, or at least call back the person and say, I'm sorry, we cannot talk to you. Marion County doesn't even return a single phone call to me. And I give it to Volusia County for everything they've allowed me to participate in as Kara's support victim advocate. So I got put right back to the detective bureau, and I was given one of the detectives. He said that it wasn't his case, but he answered a few of my questions anyway. I said, could I leave a message for, who was the detective that I spoke to?
Steve Wheeler.
Steve Wheeler. I said, may I leave a message for Detective Wheeler? I understand was in charge of this case. He said, oh, he's here. I'll put you right through. So I was very impressed with all that. I thought that was really great customer service per se, right? So Detective Wheeler gets on the phone. I introduce myself. I tell him my background, why I'm involved with Kara. He was quite polite and very reasonable to me for the first 5 minutes, mostly. And then I said, look, I'd really like to conference Kara. And he didn't sound thrilled about it. Which I know why, because Kara has explained to me why he wouldn't be thrilled about it, nor would Marion County be thrilled on a conference call with Michelle, because of her constant efforts to get justice for Sarah has annoyed, for lack of a better word, the Marion County Sheriff's Department. So I said, is that okay? And he said, oh, okay, go ahead. So I conferenced Kara in. It's the three of us on the phone sitting outside, and we had questions for him, right, Kara? So why didn't you interview this couple after it was brought to you that there was more information that could affect the outcome of whether you decide to encourage the DA to press charges or not, or at least put that in your police report, which would then hopefully encourage the prosecution to press charges? Why don't you tell them about our conversation?
It didn't go well at all. It never does. I don't remember how it started off. Or what questions were asked in what order, but along with the follow-up, I had asked him, hey, why didn't you follow up with these two people? Like, I specifically told you about them, and you said that you would. Detective Wheeler is the one that told me that if I heard anything about them bragging or saying Jason deserved it or anything at all, it could change the case. That's what he told me. Again, how would I know these things unless it's told to me about it?
Right.
And his response to me at first was, you never told me that. He immediately said that I was lying. I actually think he said that's a lie. I think that was his exact response.
Yeah,
And
he got pretty chippy a couple times with you and then with me too.
yes. And I told him it absolutely wasn't a lie. I actually never speak to anybody without somebody being here with me, because I don't know if you guys know, this is fucking traumatic. It's a traumatic experience. I don't remember yesterday half of the time, so I always have somebody with me. And I absolutely told him, and I'm fairly confident I gave him their numbers. Anyways, he never did a follow-up. So then I would say calmly asked him again, that would be a lie. I asked him again, why didn't he? And his second response to me was, it wouldn't have changed the outcome. That's what he said to me. And, that really didn't go over well. What else did I ask, Kat? Because I see black when I speak to him. So.
Oh, I understand though, because he had moments of being very defensive. He kind of accused me at one point of accusing him of not doing his job, and I never did that. I said, detective, if you were given a lead by the victim's wife that there was more information from a couple that wanted to talk to you, and you never followed up on that lead, and this was your family member, how would you feel? Would you feel that maybe you got busy? And then he said, well, we had a lot of cases. Well, we were told by your captain and your lieutenant that you didn't have a lot of cases.
2 weeks prior, their exact words to us was, we don't have a lot of homicides in Volusia County, and we take them extremely serious. That was their exact words to us. We take them extremely serious. They have not followed up either, though. So, what is that?
No. Because they told us the case is closed and that they will not reopen it unless something really earth-shattering were to happen. I would assume they would have to reopen it, but right, they said they won't. They're not planning to reopen it, and so they said, basically, you have to take it to the next level, which is to
the state attorney, and that's what we're for. Yes, I bring up the reports. I asked him how it was self-defense and stand your ground. I wanted to know how. I said, based on all of these reports that I have right here in front of me, I said, all of them say the same thing. They're all worded differently, but they all fall to the same thing. Jason was sitting on the bar stool. Jason was being loud. Hatchet Man got up, went and got the hatchet, came back in. He either swung it at Jason, hit Jason with it, put it to his throat, slammed it on the bar, and told Jason to shut the fuck up and get out. That's what it says. Shut up and get out. That was what, I'm sorry. See, I get loud just thinking of Steve Wheeler. I'm so sorry.
You are fine. You be loud. You do whatever you have to do.
We asked him that, and again, with the reports, he said, well, I did recorded witness statements, so I just summarized these. I said, so you're telling me that you summarized reports to not match your recorded reports? Because these say that Jason is the victim. This shows he might have been loud and being a disturbance, as it was said, a disturbance, but he wasn't hurting people.
I've never heard of that, by the way. When he said that, did you see my face?
I have since
this
then.
Is a death investigation, detective. Every single thing that is in your interview goes in the police report. Everything, who, what, where, when, why, how. If you talked about ice cream, or if some family member, right? No, but everything that has to do, every word, everything they say to you goes in quotes. You quote, and if you paraphrase them and not quote them, then it's still a concise reiterance of what they said. You may not quote them all the time, but you might paraphrase. But for him to say that he just summarized his interviews, I've never heard of that. I'm going to put in a call to one of my former detective friends from Madison. I have never heard of that. I don't understand it. So the conversation didn't go well at times. He got frustrated with us. He felt like we were, defaming him, or when we simply were stating the facts of the matter, that you didn't do that. You didn't follow up. You didn't go do the interview. And so why wouldn't you do the interview now then? Well, the case is closed and we're not reopening it. But if this is information that you were supposed to do and you didn't do, then why wouldn't you do it? And add it as a supplement, and maybe that would cause the case to be reopened. Wouldn't you want to reopen a case to get justice for someone that's been unalived?
They want the easy way out. That's all it is. They want the easy way out. I hate to say it like that. He said that in almost all of his recorded witness statements, they all say that Jason attacked that guy. Why wouldn't you put that? If that is that crucial, why wouldn't you put them in the 13 reports?
Right. So I'm looking at this one here that this is Deputy Bartzer responded to the Cabbage Patch at 549 North County Road 415. And we can tell the address on that because it's a bar and people go there. It's in New Smyrna Beach, technically Volusia County, not in the city of New Smyrna, which is why the Volusia County sheriffs responded in reference to a disturbance. So again, it was never called in as a actual bar fight, men rolling on the ground fighting or punches being thrown. It was called in as a disturbance. Prior to arrival, Central Dispatch advised a male was inside arguing with staff members and other customers. Arguing. So no mention of fists flying, punches being landed and struck. A short time later, Central Dispatch advised another male had gone outside and brought an axe into the bar, Hatchet Man. The reporting party then advised the axe could not be located and the aggressor was being pinned on the ground by several other males. The aggressor is Hatchet Man. The aggressor is not Jason sitting on a bar stool yelling at people. The aggressor should have been Hatchet Man. The man with the hatchet is the aggressor. How is this so hard to understand? I've never been so frustrated with the case that I've been either involved with or heard about or consulted on in my life. And none of you should be happy about this either. Upon arrival, Deputy Bartzer entered the bar from the south and observed 3 males. Now we're down to 3. Remember the call? It was 6. Observed 3 males on top of another male, who is Jason, who was face down on the east side of the doorway. Based on the notes given by Central Dispatch, Deputy Bartzer secured the subject. After securing the male, Deputy Bartzer rolled the male on his side and noticed he was not breathing. At this point, Deputy Bartzer rolled the male onto his back and began chest compressions. Deputy Bartzer requested medical personnel respond while continuing to perform chest compressions. Once medical personnel were on scene, Deputy Bartzer turned over life-saving measures to them. So while this is happening, as you know, Hatchet Man is gone. He was already out the door, gone. So now this particular deputy, there's 3. So where'd the other 3 go? Because bartender said 6 at one point.
Correct.
So after turning life-saving measures over, he spoke with Dawn Hill, who is the bartender, but we have redaction. So again, what is there that we can't see? Because that's not her birth date. That's not her social. It's not her address. Why can't we see what's in between spoke and her name? It doesn't make sense. Hill stated the aggressive male, later identified as Jason Veach. No, he wasn't the aggressive male. He was the verbally aggressive male. Let's be clear here. He didn't have a weapon. This should have stated the verbally aggressive male. Had been in the bar earlier in the day. Hill said Veach had been causing a disturbance earlier in the day, but left and then came back. Shortly after returning, he continued to cause a disturbance, which at one point, another unknown male left the bar and returned with an axe. That sounds ridiculous, right? It absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. Hill advised the male to put the axe to Veach's neck, but Hill advised that the male put the axe to Veach's neck, but did not strike him with it. At this point, so how did the mark get on the bar then? If Jason only put the axe to his neck, which again, in and of itself, that is a dangerous method of saying stop with what you're doing. Never should be allowed that anyone should be allowed to do that and not face any consequences for that type of action. Hill was unable to articulate what occurred other than Veach and several other individuals went to the ground where they pinned him to the ground. Why are we pinning Jason, the man with the axe to his throat, to the ground? Again, this is making no sense whatsoever. While on scene, one of the witnesses, I'm not going to say her name, advised she found the axe inside the bar and placed it behind the bar. That's how we know there was obviously and definitely an axe. Deputy Bartzer did not interview her. Did not interview her. Deputy Bartzer then briefly spoke with Mark Hatfield, who provided a similar statement to Hill. Hatfield also described the male who came back into the bar as approximately 60 to 70 years older, longer white hair, and of smaller stature. He was unable to provide a name for this unknown male. He was informed by medical personnel that Jason was pronounced dead by Dr. Rhonda Oiters at approximately 28 hours. And again, Kara, I'm so incredibly sorry for your loss. This whole thing is out of control and unbelievable. So then it says that CID, which is the crime unit, later responded to the scene, and then the investigation was taken over by them. So that's just his one, the Bartzer's report. Then Sergeant Stone arrived on the scene in reference to the disturbance. He observed, he got there in time to see Bartzer doing the truss compressions on the unresponsive male, being assisted by an unknown patron of the bar. Several other customers were still inside the bar. So he inquired what happened. He was told that Veach was trying to fight everyone and had to be restrained. That's just not true. By any of the other witness statements, he was only became aggressive when a hatchet was put at his throat.
Right.
So now he's the one who should be able to use the stand your ground law, if anybody should be able to use it, correct? Verbal arguments without weapons do not need the stand your ground law. There were no punches being thrown. There was no blood being shed. So again, this makes zero sense to me, because that is not what happened. Sergeant Stone located a hatchet behind the bar that did not belong to Jason, that witnesses already said belonged to this elderly gentleman. I'm 61. I don't consider myself elderly. I just had knee surgery, but I'm still in pretty darn good shape. So I don't buy it that this guy was frail. No, I don't. I mean, we'll show you when we meet again. Hopefully, as soon as we get these recordings, we'll show you photos, because they're on Facebook, of these supposedly the six of them who held him down. And then it was suddenly only 3. And then 2 of them left the scene before the police got there. We'll show you how frail these guys look. And you'll be glad to agree with me that that's not true. It says that Sergeant Stone spoke with the employee, Dawn, and inquired what had happened. She advised that he was in the bar earlier, again at 1700 hours, causing a disturbance. He left and returned at 1930 hours. When she refused to serve him, he became upset and smashed his glasses on the bar. Well, what does she mean? Slammed? Because the word in the police report says smashed. So did he break his glass on the bar, or his glasses? Is she talking about his eyeglasses?
His sunglasses. And if
Sunglasses.
that's allowed to break them, they belong to him. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. Right. So he's being disorderly. The person sitting next to him was watching the football game, didn't give a crap. He made it very clear it was just another day at another bar where a disturbance was happening. He continued to watch the football game. He wasn't concerned a bit for his life. We're not saying we agree with this either, by the way. Kara has always said she doesn't agree with Jason being disorderly. She's never agreed with him being this intoxicated. She's always been very kind about that he wasn't in the right. Nobody's saying what he was doing was in the right, but we're saying what he was doing should not have ended in his death. That's what we're saying. And when we're talking about justice for him, we're not condoning his actions or behavior. So it says here, it says Dawn advised that someone appeared to have slapped Veach on his face with the side of the hatchet. So now, a few seconds ago, I read to you that he threatened him with the hatchet, that he held it up to his neck. Now he slapped him with what might have been the side of the hatchet.
Right.
She was unable to provide a description of this person. How are you unable to provide at least some description? I know you're scared, but come on. You had to see that he had long gray hair, that he was an older gentleman. You couldn't give any description, not a single, even one. I mean, in the Idaho 4, with all that scary, horrible tragedy going on, DM was able to say bushy eyebrows, wearing a face mask, tall, So even in the worst of times, most of us still have fight or flight, and we're still able to recall somewhat of a description. So I don't understand this at all. I didn't realize this. I must have missed this when I read this yesterday, that she was able to provide no description of Hatchet Man. Ben advised she did not know him. When asked if anyone that had restrained Veach was still in the bar, Dawn agreed with another patron at the bar that one person had left. That would be him. Dawn pointed out the other two people still there that had restrained Veach. So now one left. That would be Michael Beery, correct? And two of them were still at the bar, and Hatchet Man left. That's four that left. So there's 4 of the 6. So who are the other 2 that she originally said, right?
Brian Martin is one. In his report, he states that he had his hand on Jason's back, telling the guys to not let him go and don't let him up. So that makes 5 right there that they're saying is
right.
Not now. And just, I'm sorry, I did mean to interrupt you, but I'm sorry.
No, interrupt anytime. This is just you and me going back and forth, reading these and sharing with those that care about you, and with our audience and our subscribers and our friends of what happened, so that we can keep them as apprised as possible as we go forward in this.
I'll reiterate it again, is that it's not that we're trying to make Volusia County out to be shady, but this is how it started. And the 911 caller says there was 6. Detective Wheeler swears there's only 3, and that's because he's going by the body cam footage. Okay, so there was only 3 guys, because apparently the 911 caller, who's Dawn Hill, is not being honest. She's lying about 6 people. She made it up on the phone call. So there was 6. Detective Wheeler says there was 3. When I spoke to his sergeants, because I wanted a meeting with somebody other than Detective Wheeler, because we cannot speak. It does not end well. His sergeant, who knew the case very well inside and out, told me that Detective Wheeler was in fact incorrect, and there was actually only 2 people involved. Only 2. From these reports right here, there's 5. That's 5 right there in itself. So there's not just 2.
There's 5 for sure. So maybe she miscounted when she was in her concern for what was going on. Maybe she thought she saw 6 and there were 5, but we know there's 5.
We know for a fact there's 5. 100%. 4 of them Jason held down. Jay Keeney started it. That's Hatchet Man. He started the whole thing. And then Michael Beery, Tori, and Steve held him down, while Brian Martin only had his hand on his back. Might I add that this Brian Martin guy is every bit of 350 plus pounds. He is a big, heavy man. So
I saw the photo today, and we'll share those next week, because these are all off of Facebook. So I have no problem. We're not sharing their addresses or their phone numbers, but I have no problem. It's in the police reports. They were there. They were witnesses. We can show their photos without a problem. We're not accusing them of anything at this point. The only person we're concerned with mostly is Hatchet Man, of how he is not charged with at least leaving a death investigation.
Correct. But
he knew at that point was a death investigation, because when he left, he knew what had happened.
Correct. Michael Beery, 100%. He, in his statement, said, "I left because the cops had it under control." But
right. And welcome, James. James Madison, the name of my hometown in Wisconsin. James Madison Audits. Welcome. Glad to have you. Sorry, Kara. This was an absolute vigilante group that escalated the incident, left, and came back. That's the absolute definition of aggressor. Absolutely. We've been saying this all along. If you leave and you're afraid, but you leave, and you don't just leave, get in your car and leave, or walk away, or whatever you have to do, and you come back with a weapon, something that could be classified and used as a weapon, then you now are the aggressor. Jason is now the person that has the right to stand his ground and defend himself. How that is not rocket science to anybody. That is just unbelievable. 1 + 1 = 2. Jenny, hi, welcome, Jenny. I've heard they're not supposed to charge for them.
Saying for the reports.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jenny, I agree with you. I've actually requested police reports before for cases where I didn't get charged a darn thing. Philadelphia wanted to charge me $25 to get Ellen Greenberg's police reports, because that case was closed years ago because they wrongly ruled it an unaliving by her own hand, which we know never happened. $25. Now, I don't know if they would have added if I wanted body camera, if I wanted body camera of the officers that day, which they may not even have had back in 2011. Well, they might have. Yeah, they probably did. But I don't know if they would have charged more for that. But this $1,100 plus that Kara's been charged is outrageous. So yeah, absolutely. The more that keeps coming out about this incident, the more the law officers seem to be operating in a different universe than the average intelligent citizen. That's right, Miss Sunshine. Absolutely right. But we keep being told every time we met in person or over the phone that we're the ones who aren't getting it, that this is Florida. This must be like, the outer limits here or something, where anything, the wild, wild west of Florida, because we're talking about 2 different counties where I'm being told stuff that is ridiculous, not to mention up there in St. John's, Jacksonville area. Same nonsense is obviously happening up there, which I know there's already protests going on about that. I'll have to follow up on that for you guys for when we meet next with Kara. But there's one more here that I wanted to read to you before we close it out tonight. So this is from Detective Barrett, was dispatched and responded to the Cabbage Patch. Now this is a big report and there's redactions in it, like what we were telling you, which we don't understand why. If it doesn't have to do with social security numbers or addresses or phone numbers, why are we still dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places? So he is saying that he interviewed the bartender, again, Dawn, advised she had been working at the Cabbage Patch for several hours, and on most Sundays she works in the evenings by herself at the establishment. Dawn advised she got to work close to 1,800 hours and was told by the previous bartender there was an unruly patron, Jason, who was instigating arguments with everyone at the bar. Dawn advised she had never seen Jason at the bar before and did not know him personally. He was told to leave the bar at 18:15 and that he would no longer be served. Short time later, she said Jason returned to the bar and sat at a bar stool. Dawn advised Jason was argumentative and aggressive as he had been earlier in the evening, and she refused to serve him alcohol, which is her right to do. I was a bartender once, so that is your right as a bartender, that she did nothing wrong by not serving him. When Jason argued with her for not being served, she stepped outside of the establishment. This is where it's redacted. She stepped outside the establishment, redaction, and then Jason removed from the premises. Why is that redacted, right? That does not make
I'm assuming it went outside to call 911 because that's what they're trying to keep anonymous. That's the only thing that would fit, to call 911 maybe.
To protect her because she's the 911 caller?
Yeah, because that's what they're saying it is. Listen, I've read these reports a billion fucking times. Excuse my language. My mind is blown right now. I don't know if you've read all those. Do you go down 3 paragraphs? I'm sorry. I'm going to fucking freak out. It says straight up.
You read it. Go ahead.
This is from Tori. This is one of the guys that had Jason by the arms. And I don't feel like he's innocent, but I genuinely think these fucking retards were trying to help. This is what it says. It says, Tori observed the older male walk straight up to Jason and hold the hatchet to his neck. It says that Jason was I'm sorry, I'm freaking the fuck. I'm going to go blow up the fucking, oh my God.
Don't blow up anything because we want you to stay alive and we want you to stay out of trouble.
It says that Jason was sitting on the first bar stool of the bar with 2 gentlemen on the corner of the bar, and he watched Jay Keeney get up from his bar stool, walk straight straight up to Jason and put the hatchet to his neck. That means that he had to leave from where he was and come to Jason. I can't. Jason was not the aggressor. I'm sorry. I have to grab my paper.
Go grab your paper. So that's what I was going to read this for, because I know Kara's already read these, but this, yes. So Paula, why wasn't you right? So if he was causing such a disturbance, if he was such a pain in the butt, and then he came back in, what was the delay to call and say, I need you to come and remove this guy? I'm not big enough to kick him out. What took so long? Why didn't the other bartender call to say, hey, this he's drunk. He's not, we already know he was too drunk to be there because the other officer let him go from the prior bar an hour prior. So we already knew that. So again, so many mistakes made that could have changed the complete outcome of this. So this says that Detective Barrett then went to interview Tori Tunninson, referenced this incident. Tori advised he has been visiting this bar for approximately 10 years and is familiar with most individuals who frequent the establishment. Tori stated he got to the bar early that day at approximately 1500 hours and had used cash to pay his tab with the previous bartender before dawn shift. Tori recalled seeing Jason earlier in the day with a group of people indulging in an exorbitant amount of alcohol. Tori stated he had not seen Jason before this night and did not know who he was. Prior to being asked to leave, Tori recalled Jason being argumentative with several people at the bar, even though he stated no one appeared to be arguing back with him. After witnessing Jason leave the bar for a short time, which we know where he went was to the other bar where he should have received an OWI from that other officer, he came back alone. He took a seat at the bar stool close to the front door and was arguing with two men seated at the only corner of the bar top. According to Tori, one male appeared to be in his 50s, heavy set, and is approximately 6'6" in height. Tori added that this male possibly drives a red Dodge pickup truck and frequents the bar sporadically. The other male, whom Tori stated knew the first male but did not arrive with him, appeared to be in his 70s, was slender, and had a gray beard. So Tori, who has never seen these people before, could give us at least the description of 70s, was slender, and had a gray beard. But the bartender could not do that. I'm very stunned by that. Tori stated he's also seen the male at the bar, but does not know his name nor what vehicle he drives. So he obviously had been there before. After a short time of arguing, Tori witnessed the older male leave the bar and come back holding what appeared to be a hatchet. So now you've got three different witnesses to the man in his 70s, slender with a gray beard, going to his car, coming back in. And as our friends up above in the chat have all said, he is now the aggressor. That is not rocket science any way, shape, or form. I could call 10 police officers right now from 10 different states, and they would all be freaking out about this. So in quick reaction to this, Jason immediately tackled the old man. Oh, wait, I missed this part. Tori observed the older man walk straight up to Jason and hold the hatchet to his neck. I don't know about you guys in the chat, and I don't know about all of you on replay, but if somebody holds a hatchet to my neck, I am going to defend myself. I'm going to fight with the last little ounce of my 140 pounds that I have, and I'm going to defend myself. And if I live in Florida, you as sure as bet heck, I'm going to do my Florida stand your ground. I think it's a bullshit law, but I'm going to do it if I have a hatchet to my neck and then I am the one being accused of being an aggressor. So this is utterly ridiculous. Now, he says he did not see the old man swing the hatchet or cause any injury to Jason with the hatchet. In a quick reaction to this, but that's not the point, right? Again, Jason immediately tackled the old man. So would I, so would all of you who's with us tonight live, so would everybody on a replay. If you had it in you physically, you would try to tackle somebody who was holding a hatchet to your throat. And several men, including Tori, intervened to separate the two and hold Jason down. Why aren't we holding Hatchet Man down? Could somebody help me with this? Why are we only, if there's 6 of you, why aren't 3 of you holding the old man so that he can't flee the scene, and 3 of you are holding Jason down so that he can't flee the scene? And then the bartender says, police, we now have a hatchet involved. We have a weapon. We need immediate response from the police. This is 1 + 1 = 2. This is no different than Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Why, right? We have so many questions that never get answers, that come up with bullshit responses from why Brian Elbert didn't come out of his house. Why did this not happen? Why were they not separated? These are things that police are trained to do. When they screw up this bad, it's either everybody should be disciplined, or who's doing your training, or you did this on purpose. Okay, those are our only 3 options with the Karen Reed case, with Ellen Greenberg's case of the complete disaster of an investigation in that case, Sandra Birchmore. We have so many examples right now of all the victims that we're advocating for and that we're standing for. It literally causes me sleepless nights. It really does. I get more and more stunned the more cases that we add to our profile right now, and Kara is our second to last one. That it's mind-boggling to me. So next, Detective Barrett interviewed Donna, who was also present during the altercation. Donna advised she arrived at the Cabbage Patch shortly after 1800 hours and spent the majority of her time there at the gambling machines. Fine, that's what people like to do. Due to this, Donna advised her back was turned to the main bar and she did not observe the events. A short time later, she advised she went to, yeah. So here's the thing. She's gambling while this is all going on. The other guy's watching football, not leaving the bar, not afraid for his life, because people that go to bars where there can occasionally be altercations like this, they're usually short and they're usually diffused very quickly by security or police are called, and it just doesn't faze a lot of people. That should tell you that the level of Jason being disgruntled and being loud was just not that terrible, not enough for Hatchet Man to have to go to his car and bring a hatchet in. And you should not get away with those actions. There should be punishment for those actions. When you make decisions like that, you should be held responsible for your choice, your very bad, poor choice. According to Donna, when she turned around, she witnessed several men trying to hold Jason on the ground while Dawn added she had never seen Jason before at the establishment. Seeing this, Donna spotted a hatchet. Now we've got a fourth person on the floor near Jason, picked it up as she believed it was safer to remove the weapon from the commotion. Donna then grabbed the hatchet up in a plastic bag she found behind the bar and gave the hatchet to Dawn to keep behind the bar for safekeeping. All right. Now, wait, is Donna the same? I thought it was the other person.
Dawn is the 911 caller.
Right.
Donna is a lady that was there.
Right, Donna. Right. And is Donna the only witness that actually touched the hatchet and picked it up?
I'm pretty sure she goes and shows it to her husband, but that's not here yet.
Okay.
Somebody else gives that story.
Okay, got it. So then Detective Barrett made contact with another witness. I don't feel the need to say her name. Advised she got to the bar at 1700 hours, spent the majority of time at the pool tables, witnessed Jason with a group of people, noticed he was being extremely argumentative, shouting at multiple people, saying that he was, quote, and I'll have to swear, the baddest motherfucker in there, and keep saying, try me to various people. Lauren advised she had not seen Jason at the bar prior to this incident, did not know him. Lauren recalled Jason leaving the bar, but returning a short time later. Lauren witnessed Jason sitting at the bar on the portion closest to the front door and heard an extremely loud sound as Jason slammed his fist into the bar and even broke his motorcycle riding glasses. Lauren then saw Jason stand up, then witnessed a commotion as several people rushed towards Jason, obviously because we know he was defending himself from a hatchet being held at his throat. She was unaware of what instigated the altercation or who was involved, as she had been pushed out of the way by a friend and ducked down for safety. She advised she remembered seeing several men, so again, several, which is 3 or 4 to most people, on the ground, but did not have any relevant details. Lastly, Detective Barrett interviewed Blank, who stated he had only just gotten to the bar. He witnessed an argumentative situation at the bar, walked to the gambling machines, didn't leave, continued to order a drink, 2 extremely loud banging noises, witnessed Jason slamming his fist on the bar. Moments later, he witnessed Jason and an older man with gray hair fall to the ground in an apparent tussle, then saw several men rush to the area to hold Jason down. Mark stated he had never met Jason prior to the incident. So all these people are continuing to go about what they were there for. Not one of them left in fear or concern for their own safety. And one continued to watch football. One continued to gamble. This one ordered another drink.
Yep. Yeah. Remember that in the responding officer Barcher's report, it says that Mark Hatfield has had an extremely similar statement as Dawn does, that the hatchet was involved. If it was similar, it's not in this one. He doesn't say he saw anything in this one, but in Barcher's, it says it was similar to Dawn's.
Mm-hmm. And this is the last one we have that is from Detective Teskey, I believe he pronounces it. Or is it Tesk?
Barrett.
Oh, this one I have is Detective Teske.
Oh, okay. We're on a different one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's the one. I don't know if I might not have the other one you're talking about. I think that's all. I might be missing one. Hang on a second. I might have left it in the wrong pile.
No, that's what I did with Barrett's.
Yeah, this is Detective McIntosh.
Yeah, I think that's just about the bike, though.
Right. That one, right. So this one has to do with, he says he spoke with a patron who stated he arrived at the Cabbage Patch sometime between 1600 and 1730. He couldn't recall specifically when. Obviously, he's had a little bit too much to drink. That's a long time there. He stated he came up to the bar alone, spent the entirety of his time playing pool and darts with another gentleman who's mentioned here, and that Tori, who we've talked about, who was gave that statement, it was involved in holding Jason down, and the other woman that I did not mention her name. While Brian was shooting pool with the others, he observed the deceased, Jason, and a group of approximately 10 bikers together near the bar drinking. Now we got 10. Now there's 10 bikers, okay? While Brian was shooting pool with the others, he observed the deceased Jason and a group of approximately 10 bikers near the bar drinking and becoming loud. He stated he didn't pay much attention to them, but they were hard to ignore, specifically the deceased. Brian stated he is a regular at this Cabbage Patch, but has never seen Jason. A short while later, Jason and the rest of the bikers left the bar. Brian stated Jason was extremely effed up when he left. So when he left to go to the other bar, now you have witnesses saying how effed up he was. So now we go back again to the officer's discretion to not do anything. So you've got several people saying how effed up he was when he was there the first time. Then he went to the other bar where the noise complaint came in serendipitously. We have that female sheriff, the Volusia County sheriff, who chose to do nothing and just let him leave. Again, no disciplinary action. They told us that was her discretion. I don't agree at all. Yes, we have discretion, but when you screw up and don't do your discretion properly and use your discretion properly, then there's a problem. And this is a problem because her discretion should have involved two choices only. Stay with Jason till he got picked up and got a ride, or arrest him because he was on the bike, engine running, keys in the ignition. That's your discretion. Your discretion isn't a free for all. Discretion isn't 100 choices, people. Police officers' discretion is limited. It's limited for safety, for the surrounding place where you're at, and for people that could be involved in whatever that discretion is that you choose to use. The public safety is always number one in how you decide to use your discretion if you decide to arrest someone or not. Again, that's my opinion from my former time as a police officer, and I can guarantee you many would agree with me on that. So again, we have several statements in these police reports how effed up Jason was, how intoxicated and drunk he was. He should have never been allowed to leave that other bar. Not at all. So then Brian, it says here an undetermined amount of time passed. Brian heard loud bangs coming from the bar area. This was when he realized Jason was back and getting loud with the bartender. He was smacking the top of the bar. That's already been said, cursing at the girl behind the bar. Brian told the people he was shooting pool to ignore Jason, as it appeared he was looking to pick a fight with anyone that would pay him any attention. He remembered hearing the bartender tell Jason to stop, and then there's redacted. That part is redacted. And then Brian then noticed an old guy at the bar as well. Brian described him as being old, like frail old. We'll show you the photos. The old man told Jason that he needed to leave the bar. Jason began screaming at the old man. Then out of nowhere, there was a scuffle, and Jason attacked the old man by tackling him to the ground. So obviously this person did not see the hatchet as the other witnesses did. All he saw was the scuffle and that they went to the ground. And he says that once the attack occurred, Steve and Tori grabbed Jason's arms while Brian rested his hand on Jason's back, saying, "Hold on to him, fellas. Don't let him up." And again, these other guys knew that Hatchet Man was the one with the hatchet. So why aren't they yelling, "Don't let Hatchet Man leave"? Why does Hatchet Man get to walk off out into the night and say, "Hasta la vista, I'm out of here," right? That makes zero sense. So they all decided that Jason was the bad guy in the situation because he was drunk, because he'd been in there earlier yelling, those that knew that he had been, and that the man bringing the hatchet in was of no consequence. Let's just hold down the big guy because he was the one being aggressive and loud. Let's not have any concerns about the guy who brings in a hatchet and puts it at someone's throat. Let's not worry about that. Unbelievable. Brian went on to state that now we've got someone telling us that Hatchet Man's a regular at the bar, but yet the bartender can't even describe him. Okay. He has been seen around a lot, but could not recall his name or anything to help identify him. Brian was asked about the hatchet and its involvement. Brian never saw the hatchet, had no idea that it had played any part. Brian further advised once Jason was on the ground, he was trying to fight them off, and all of a sudden he was done. Shortly after he stopped attempting to fight them off, law enforcement arrived. Brian stated he observed Jason to have a minor bump on his eyebrow, resembling a small goose egg type injury. Brian stated it appeared minimal and not significant. Brian stated the old man also appeared to have a laceration to his face and was bleeding. The old man left the bar after he got out from under Jason. No, right? Why weren't these witnesses keeping him there? They knew the police were coming. They could probably already hear the sirens off in the distance, which is probably why Hatchet Man got the heck out of Dodge. Brian advised he was drinking Captain Morgan Diet Cokes. Well, that's what I used to like when I used to felt like having cocktails back in the day. I don't know why that's in here. That's weird. And then he said what his bar tab was. Brian swore to his statements as being truthful and accurate. So again, why are we only restraining Jason because he was being verbal? He had not thrown a punch. He had not hit anybody. He did not have a weapon. No one saw him have a weapon. But the guy with the weapon who left the bar, came back in with the hatchet, is the one they're defending and the one who gets to leave the scene right before the police got there. So
friends.
Yeah. So people are not being truthful here. I believe that this Brian statement, he didn't see the hatchet. He didn't know. He was there both times. He recognized Jason. I believe him when he says that the reason they're calling him frail and elderly is he's got really, a lot of times people in my age group, I'm 61, I'll be 62 on Valentine's Day, is if your hair goes gray, people guess your age wrong all the time. Or if you live in Florida and you're out in the sun all the time, you have more wrinkles. That's why I wear hats all the time and put sunblock on all the time. But people get guessed the wrong age a lot who have grayed prematurely. Maybe he is in his 70s. I don't know, but I don't consider 70 very old either. And I've seen pictures of him. He doesn't look very frail to me, whatever they constitute as being frail. But I give it to him that he, at least was able to acknowledge that he didn't see the hatchet, but everybody else saw the hatchet. And there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he left, came back into the bar with the hatchet. It's in all these police reports, but it was obviously ignored. Once they finally did find out who he was, where's that interview? Why isn't that written up in one of these police reports?
Detective Wheeler has Jay Keeney and Michael Beery's police report on his. It's after he went and found them, and that's the witness statements that he went with is how it went down. That's the only two he went by. All the others that said that he went to Jason was all discredited. He only went by what Jay Keeney and Michael Beery said, which Michael Beery's his statement is completely different than everybody's. Like in his legit statement, he says that Jason slammed Jay Keeney, Hatchet Man, down on the ground and then turned around and came after him. And that's when he grabbed Jason by the arm and slammed him on the ground. But nobody else saw that. Jason and Jay Keeney went down together and Michael Beery got on top of him, which Brian left him out of his report also. Brian, in his report that we just read, said that it was only him, Steve, and Tori. But Michael Beery absolutely did it. It says he did it also. His doesn't match anything. Right.
Good night, DB. She says, I'll catch the rest on replay. Yeah, we didn't intend to go this long, but there's a lot. And when we meet again next week, we are going to go over, hopefully we'll have the audio by then, but if not, we'll go over the rest of these interviews with y'all so you can hear what we're saying and understand what Kara's talking about right now. Hi, Sherry D. Welcome. Kara doesn't look okay tonight. Oh, I know. I mean, I should expect her to be okay. Just different vibes, seeing her on screen. Yeah, I know. It's been a lot, you guys, the last few weeks. These meetings with them and not feeling any resolution. I personally myself have been very depressed about it. And then the detective being so not very respectful to either one of us, in my opinion, because we only brought up things that he didn't do. We didn't accuse him of anything that was not correct. And we were polite. And Kara can say I was very polite to him. I was extra polite to him. And Kara doesn't have to be polite to him because this whole situation is completely effed up. And there's no way that this should be the way it is right now, a closed case with no resolution for Jason. Miss Sunshine says, it feels like law enforcement is a little lost is a little lost goosey with these parts. This was Bikers Week and very profitable for Volusia County. It seems like they kind of work hand in hand. Yeah, I think it's a concern. Absolutely is a concern. And I mean, I get the whole tourist thing. This is Volusia County. It's very touristy. New Smyrna Beach, Port Orange, Daytona Beach, South Daytona, Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, and Ormond Beach. It's all packed during Bike Oktoberfest, and we're about to have the Daytona 500 this weekend. It's already sort of packed here. This is a very touristy county, and a lot of times they handle things very, very good, you know. So there's just these incidences where you question what happened and why is this happening and why are they willing to just look. This is a look the other way for sure, guys. This is exactly what you've been saying up in Massachusetts with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. It's a look the other way. Let's just put this to the side. Let's just blame it on the guy, blame it on the drunk guy because he was being aggressive and loud all day. So it's all his fault. What the other people did, even though they shouldn't have done it, let's not look at that. Let's look the other way. That's what I feel has happened with this case. Sherry D, did you say earlier they're trying to get Kara to give up? Yes, Miss Sunshine said that. She said because they're not returning calls timely, they didn't get her
Hey, can you do me a favor?
reports. There's a lot that was going on before Kara and I met this summer when I first started live streaming. That has happened now because, like I said, if you get someone else involved other than family, even though we're a very small startup channel, we're making some noise. We're causing discomfort. I'm making phone calls and emails. I'm going to meetings with her. She has a victim's advocate now. She didn't have that before. That stirs things up. Same with what's happening with Where is Sarah Ebersol over in Marion County. Only I'm not even getting returned phone calls from them. So, but they did send me the redacted police report, which they have never once yet sent to Michelle, her sister. And I've never gotten an answer as to why, even though I've called and left 5 messages now with the Detective Bureau. Why are you not sending Michelle the redacted police report? She's her sister. I had someone else request the police report on Sarah Ebersol, the redacted police report. It's 260 some pages long because of 2 years worth of trying to find out where she is and what happened to her. And that person received it today. So that's just not right to treat a family member that way, regardless of how you think they're handling it on their end, because Michelle is willing and to go out every day and put up missing flyers and post about her sister every day. And they're not happy about it. So then they get to treat her in such a manner. So we'll update you on that tomorrow night when Michelle joins me on Where is Sarah Ebersol. And we'll also be having updates on Ellen Greenberg, Sandra Birchmore, Suzanne Morphew, Suzanne Clark, and our newest woman we're standing for is Ashley. I believe it's Elkins, and she is currently missing, and her boyfriend was stalking her, and he is in custody, but she has not been found. And Suzanne Morphew has been found, but we still don't have an arrest there. So I'll give you the updates on all of the other ladies that we are standing for tomorrow night. Oh, Kara, that's so great. She says so much love to all of you. And yes, thank you so much to all of you that have been following, that have been helping out by putting this out on your social media and sharing it, because as you have learned from some of these other cases, it takes a village sometimes to get action. If it's just one person against everybody, it's not going to happen. We need a community. We need community involvement in this. So how do you get a victim advocate? Well, some of them, there's some that work for the county and they actually get paid. So there are victim advocates out there that work for counties. Some of them work for like justice departments. Some work for nonprofits. I'm just a volunteer. I have my own, Social Change Warriors is my own program, my own movement. This was something I decided to do in my retirement to give back to communities. And that's why I'm doing it, because I have a passion for victims of the M word. So I won't say it. I have a passion for victims of unaliving. And that's why Wednesdays I specifically focus on DV, because that's my domestic violence is my master's degree, my area of expertise. But I also will and always will happily, as I met Kara, cover an unaliving of a man. I'm not just covering only women. It's just serendipitous that I have all women right now, other than John O'Keefe and Jason. But there are victim advocates out there, but most of them are with counties, or like I said, with justice departments or with police departments. Some police departments have their own victim advocates. Usually they're the bigger departments. So thank you for asking. That was a good question. They assign them to the case. Oh yeah, they can. Yes, Jenny, they can be assigned in certain cases. They can be assigned. That's true. Absolutely. Unfortunately, many parts of our government currently has limits. Cancer research halted. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sherry D, for telling me that. I didn't know about that. Interesting. So Sherry D says up here, imagine if Karen Reed didn't have family support or financial support. Yeah, she would, right. She would probably most likely be in prison. So we are going to come back again next week and update you on what the rest of the police reports, and hopefully we may have some audio by then, some more body cam footage and hopefully audio. And Kara, you are the bravest soul. I respect you so much. What you are doing. This is like a full-time job. You already have children. You already have a full-time job as a mother. You also have a full-time job in New Smyrna Beach. This is also a full-time job. And so I just keep encouraging you to do your self-care, because we don't want anything bad to happen to your health, because this is very, very strenuous on you, on your system, your central nervous system. So as a social worker, I have to ask you to please continue to try to take care of yourself. I know you do a pretty good job. You have your best friend, you have your children, but please do that. And whenever you and I can just go get a coffee and not talk about it, that's okay too. But if talking to me about it is your help, is your relief, I am happy to do it anytime, since we live so close together. This is unique that I actually get to be close to two of my cases, but the other ones are all long distance, obviously only virtual. So this is unique. So thank you to everybody. We're going to close out tonight just briefly. I'm just going to let all you know that I have got a new free Karen Reed supporter in Kara. I told her about the case and about how long I followed it and how I got involved in it. And she wanted to know more about it. So I directed her to the websites where she could, the live streams, the YouTubers, and some of things that I've shared with her that obviously I know a lot about it now too. So tell us, just give us like the gist. I know you're about halfway through, right? Watching the trial.
I haven't got to the trial yet. I'm still doing all of the evidence and the crazy. I can't. It is insane. Like, one, I just need you all to know she's innocent. They're liars and she's innocent. And all you got to do is bring the dog in and have the dog give her statement. That's it. That's all you need to do. The dog is going to tell it all. It is absolutely, it's insane. It
crazy. Is. It is. It's just one crazy. Like I said, the questions keep coming all the time. They have from the get-go.
If you get to call the judge Auntie Bev, she shouldn't be the judge.
Exactly.
How does that work?
I know. And not to mention the fact, wait till you watch the trial. You're going to be, because I know I've given away some of it when you and I have talked, but when you watch the trial and see the interwoven situation of some of the officers with
crazy.
The family,
it's crazy.
It's beyond the pale. I call it the trial of the absurd, the theater of the absurd, because it's the actors and the players in this. You could not make this stuff up. You could not actually write a novel that would ever be better than what the real thing. Usually the novels are better than the real thing because they have to. Movies are always better in some creepy way than the real thing because they have to embellish them and add things that aren't there. Even in some of my favorite movies that we thought were biopics, we found out, Queen, that there were things in there that weren't factually accurate. The one about John Lennon, the one about what's the other one I'm thinking of? Rocket Man. There were things in there that weren't factually, but in this case is so bizarre that you couldn't add or make up anything to make it better for a movie or for a book. It's just outrageous. Hey, Julie, craziest person, welcome. You gotta summon the crime scene. Yeah. It told Trooper Dumbass what happened. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's utterly insane how that case was handled from start to finish. And I'm glad I got Kara interested in it because I think it's good for her to get her mind off of her own case for a little bit and focus on somebody else's. She's also been interested in Where is Sarah Ebersol with Michelle. So, because I'm going to introduce those two because they're both surviving family members. One is the wife, one is the sister. So I want them to meet while I continue to help Michelle find Sarah. We're very busy right now here in Florida. And of course, so many updates on Ellen Greenberg tomorrow night that I'll share with you in another most frustrating, despicable case, in my opinion, of domestic violence that was completely put under the carpet. And I lost my mind today when I watched, and I'll show it to you tomorrow night, the press conference. And again, like I said, politics is not a big deal to me. If the Democrats corrupt, arrest them. If the Republicans corrupt, arrest them. If anybody else in the country is on any side of any colors of any political party and you commit a crime, we want you arrested. We want you called out for it. That's what calling out corruption on Thursdays is all about. So I am so upset and irritated right now with the governor of Pennsylvania. They had the audacity to back up that he believed it was a unaliving by herself. Who in their right mind, not even being a person in a medical field who conducts autopsies, could look at the situation of 20 stabs to the front and back, to the major stab into her head, and say she did that to herself when there was a medical examiner that came out that the family hired several years later and said, this is ridiculous. Some of her injuries were post-mortem. Why wasn't the case reopened then, right? So I could go on for another 2 hours and lose my voice about Ellen Greenberg, that sweet, lovely young woman. Same with Sandra Birchmore. Again, these cases of these women who were unalived, not by their own hand, but framed as if it was by their own hand, are extra despicable. There should be an extra, 20 years added on for the bastards that kill you and then have the audacity to frame you for your own death and do it so well that you they've gotten away with it. I mean, up until recently, Matthew got away with it. Matthew Firewell got away with it. Up until recently, we're going to see that Ellen Greenberg's fiance has gotten away with it for 14 years. That's my opinion. I'm not him. I'm not slandering him. I'm saying, in my opinion, based on all of the evidence, this was a domestic violence situation that she was in. So we'll be updating you on all that tomorrow night. And then Friday Night Lies, we're going to be looking at the testimony, and it may be, do you work Friday night?
I work Friday night.
Okay, well then you can catch us in replay. Oh no, it's okay. I just think you'd be great to have on with us.
This is way more fun than working, I can promise you.
Oh yeah,
way more fun. I mean,
going over
is more fun. This part is fun.
Yeah, going over these absurd people's witness statements. So we're going to look at Nicole and Brian Albert on Friday night. It's my birthday. I'm going to go out for lunch, so I'm still going to do Friday Night Lives on Friday night. Yes. And we're going to kind of narrow down when they told lies, when they were evasive, losing my voice already, and when they told the truth. So this is these darn allergies that we're having here. I'm allergic to our pollen drop that we get in February. So that'll be Friday night. And then we will talk a little bit about all that went on this week, because a lot went on with this week with the Karen Reed situation, with the motions and the denial by Judge Bev. Of course, we knew that was coming. A lot of the lawyers have had a lot of interesting things to say. So we'll just talk a little bit about that after we get done critiquing Brian and Nicole Albert on Valentine's Day on Friday night. Oh, what a night.
It's been a night.
So frustrating. Crazy. Yeah, so frustrating. So upset for you. Rereading these police reports. I'm going to be more mad again because I see things I didn't quite let sink in the first time.
Yeah, me too.
You get kind of worked up and you'd miss some of it. It's just stunning. It's stunning that you are in this position, that you have to keep fighting for justice for Jason, that there is no accountability for anybody that was involved in holding him down, especially the man bringing a hatchet in. That's just not, it just makes me speechless. There's no other way to put it. So thank you, everybody that was with us tonight. Thank you for all your amazing, amazing comments. All of your helps us a lot when there's support on the live, and then replay. I thank you for supporting Kara and Jason.
Me too.
Thank you for supporting our other episodes. Go ahead, Kara.
I thank you. I thank everybody. Thank you, Kat. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
so
it.
welcome. You're so welcome. And thanks to all of you that support our other victims and their families that we're covering on other Wednesdays and on Thursdays and Fridays. Next Wednesday for the Angry Bitch Club, where we buzz about things that are very upsetting to us. Some nights we do fun things, but when we have a lot of cases like we do now, we don't have a lot of time for spa night, but we will again have a spa night on Wednesday night. We will again go back to talking about all of our bad dates that we've all had, because I was telling you about some of the funny, ridiculous dates that I've been on since my divorce. We did that on Men Are Dumb. We did the first episode. We were supposed to do it this week, but I'm going to put that off till March because we just have too many cases right now and too many victims we're standing for. So we're going to continue to do that on Wednesdays for right now. But Thursdays for calling out corruption, and Friday for Friday Night Lies. I appreciate all your support. We are a small startup channel. I will post our new Cash App on my Twitter X, and I'll put it in the description on our YouTube page. So we will take small contributions of thanks, but that will only go to program costs, which can be proven, and to the victims' families who ask us for assistance. So again, it's about a village. I don't want people to feel they have to. You never have to do anything. You come here, I put up your comments. I will never do the whatever those things are called, those super chats. I'm never doing that. I want you to have a voice here. You're welcome on the platform anytime. If you have something to say, something you want to share with me, you can email me if you have a case you want us to look into, but you're always welcome to come on the platform. You're always welcome to make comments in this chat box, because you are part of our family and part of our mission of Social Change Warriors, to call out corruption and to stand for victims of crime. And so thanks everyone. Kara, you are a strong, amazing woman. I'm so happy I know you. So happy I have you in my life and your friend.
Yes.
And
No, I love you.
I love you too. And we're going to keep on fighting, and we're going to keep on standing for justice, and keep on looking for justice for our victims and their families. If you follow me on Twitter X, I appreciate it. I'm also on Facebook. And if you need any of those, just get a hold of me. I'm going to put up my email here for you in a second. You can email me with any questions, or if you want to know my socials, I can give you links to them. So there's our email. This is the Twitter, and then I'll get the Facebook added up there too. But because I don't have it. I have a Social Change Warriors page, but it's still under my full name right now, and I have to make that transition. So eventually I'll just have a page that is only Social Change Warriors, to be able to find me a lot quicker and faster. I also have a high school account, so don't friend that one, because I'm only using that to plan my high school reunions. I try to keep murder and crime and corruption off of that page, so I don't freak out my fellow classmates for Madison. I'll put up the banner too now for Ellen, Justice for Ellen, and we have Sarah and Jason that we have had underneath. So
Yes.
Again, feel free to email me anytime with questions or cases that you may have any leads on, or if something's going on in your community, or you know someone that needs our help, we're happy to do it. Kara, you're awesome.
Yes.
We will figure out when we're going to live together next week based on your work schedule. And in the meantime, I'll make sure I make my contacts tomorrow to help you get those body cameras and those recordings, so we can go over those next time. Thank you again, everybody. I'm going to play us out with our, we started with our theme song for Wednesday nights, which is our tribute to women empowerment. I'm going to take us home tonight with our theme song for tomorrow night for calling out corruption, and also for Friday. So have a wonderful rest of your night, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll get my voice back, because I got mad tonight. So I'm mad at Volusia department, so I've lost my voice. Kara's lost her voice. Stay with me in the green room a minute. I just want to tell you one thing personally. Okay. So enjoy our theme song from our creative department for Thursdays. And thank you. Appreciate all of you so much. Just us.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life